came to understand. The phrase that we use all the time when we talk about coming to join the murder, to borrow from Sons of Anarchy, in Illinois. Preventable crimes, preventable murder. And that's exactly what the Gorman said it was, because it was.
He moved towards her threateningly. She turned around and she warned her friends that there was a man with a gun and you need to run, and they ran. She ran. She made it
40 feet.
But she made it 40 feet, and he shot her in the back. Came out her neck.
And
she saved her friends.
What?
I don't know. Presumably, we heard that. They say it was a senseless tragedy. It wasn't. It was a murder. It was a preventable murder.
Not a senseless tragedy, a preventable murder. This was done at somebody's hands. And the context of how that somebody was able to commit this horrible crime is important. The defense for the man who killed Sheridan Gorman is arguing that he has the mental capacity of a child after suffering a gunshot wound to the head while in Colombia before he decided to make his way to America and be welcomed by Governor Pritzker as one of his people in Illinois. Mind of a child defense. The Gormans weren't having any of that.
His lawyer said he had the mental capacity of a child.
He had the mental capacity and the wherewithal to buy a gun, to have a mask on, and to be waiting. The mask was on, and he had a gun pointed at my daughter when she passed him.
A child does not do that.
A man does not
shoot a retreating child in the back.
The Gormans also went on to say, look, they're not terribly political. They didn't really talk politics. They don't want to really talk politics. They sort of characterize themselves as down the middle politically. But some things are, some things that, conservatives and people down the middle, where there's disagreements on some issues, can come together around. Decent people can come together around just things that are commonsensical. Things that you hear politicians in both parties say until, for some reason, it's time to exempt a certain population from this otherwise commonsensical approach to public safety. And that goes back to what Joe Abraham said. But it was never about compassion. This is about political power. It's about numbers. It's about votes. It's about apportionment. But the common sense is not lost on the Gormans.
Clearly, there needs to be some cooperation between state and local government and federal officials. When someone commits a crime and they've been here illegally, there needs to be cooperation. He was arrested for, yes, a nonviolent crime, but he also was here illegally. In our mind, he should have been handed over to the feds at that point.
Right. Pretty straightforward for the decent, the civil, the non-ideological, the person interested in seeing government provide for the safety of them, their families, and other people and their families, the law-abiding. Not complicated. Political willpower question. Always has been. Joe Abraham and other angel moms and dads will be happy to hear that the Gormans say they're not going away, especially Mrs. Gorman. She's in for the long haul now.
I don't know what the longevity of this effort takes, but I will never rest. And yes, they've awakened a bear. They've awakened a big grizzly mama bear. I got to fight for my child. I have to fight for yours. I have to turn this devastating darkness into light somehow.
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, answer line and text line. Give us a call or text. I know this is a very high-profile story and a particularly tragic one. And just like we used to talk mostly about domestic brutality when it comes to Chicago, it's easy to get inured It's easy to be desensitized. It's easy to express empathy for the Gorman family, express empathy for the Abraham family, but, then sort of move on. And, I think out of respect to those families and so many more, we have a duty not to move on, to put in that political fight where we can, to challenge people, to try to help people find the political willpower to stop going along with this madness that has taken over Illinois. Don't you think? Mark in Oak Lawn.
Dan, thanks for taking my call. I have four children, and they're still under 30 years old. And could you imagine going into a morgue, identifying one of your children from an illegal immigrant killing? Dan, I find the government, the media, and the Catholic Church, they're all complicit in it all, and they normalize all this stuff, and they never talk about any of these people that lose their children like this. They just talk about ICE and all this stuff, and everybody's a victim. I appreciate you bringing up this topic again and talking about it. It really needs to. You got to keep hammering at it, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Mark. No, and I know, nobody is saying defund ICE. That's what Washington Senator Patty Murray. Mom on a mission. Mom on a mission, Patty Murray, in her sensible shoes for the last 2 decades. Another person just sort of occupying space. Patty Murray, nobody on her side talking about defunding ICE. That's what she said.
I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE.
Is that right? Is Ed Markey from Massachusetts your colleague? Is he a Democrat, Patty?
Right now, Democrats have the power to defund and abolish ICE. We should do it.
Is Chris Murphy your colleague from Connecticut? Is he a Democrat, Senator Patty Murray?
An agency that does not care about the law, does not care what courts say, thinks it is accountable to no one except for the President of the United States. We can't fund that kind of agency. We would be violating our oath of office, all of us, to fund an agency that just doesn't care about the law.
Right. And it's not just the senators, of course, it's the entire party. The entire party. Just another interesting piece of evidence. Patty Murray, Mom on a mission? Why did Senate Republicans have to fund DHS, fully fund DHS, by going through the reconciliation process, which they finally did last night, and doing it on a straight party line vote? Because your party wants to defund ICE. That's why. Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan. I think about this. I thought about Golda Meir saying that if Palestinian mothers hate Israel more than they love their children, it'll never stop. I think that Democrats love power and lust power more than they care for humanity. And I would challenge any one of these scumbags to think about that. Say, would you sacrifice your child to allow for these criminals to exist in this country?
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for the call, Matt. They might say no, but their behavior says otherwise. Let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 51 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keen in the QC Kinetics newsroom. One person is dead and 3 others injured following a mass shooting event in the Little Village neighborhood. According to reports, 1 man and 3 women were standing by the sidewalk when they were shot by an unknown person. The male victim received multiple gunshot wounds and he died at a local hospital. A Chicago public schools teacher is accused of beating and choking a 12-year-old student inside a Southside classroom, making her at least the 6th CPS employee charged this school year year with physically or sexually assaulting students. CWB Chicago reports that Elaine Pierce Collins faces felony counts of aggravated battery of a child causing great bodily harm and aggravated battery of a child by strangulation causing great bodily harm. The allegations stem from an incident that happened last December at Pershing Magnet School. This report is sponsored by HealthSpring, Medicare coverage that puts a spring in your step. With a Medicare partner you trust, life gets lighter, so put a spring in your step with a HealthSpring Medicare plan. Find out more at healthspring.com. HealthSpring products and services are provided exclusively by or through operating subsidiaries of Healthcare Services Corporation, a mutual legal reserved company.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
The law group you know and trust, Nauman and Associates, is expanding into commercial litigation. When disputes can't be resolved, get the strategic guidance from a litigation lawyer who will fight for your rights. Attorney Richard Cannon brings both strong courtroom and dispute settlement skills. We believe most cases can be resolved without costly courtroom battles, but we prepare as if a trial is possible. When your company needs to stand its ground, contact Nauman and Associates in Elk Grove Village. For a consultation, visit nalawgroup.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results, done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com, and schedule your free in-home consultation today.
There's a new kind of energy at Starbucks. Try the all-new Energy Refreshers, Strawberry Acai, Mango Dragon Fruit, or the all-new Mango Strawberry. New Energy Refreshers, only at Starbucks.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warm conditions with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will bring cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and slightly cooler temperatures with a chance of a few showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just sticking on this topic, actually, of open borders, defund ICE. There's really a dichotomy that's being presented sort of in real time with, for example, that California primary election going on. where the fault lines are on this issue against the backdrop of, unfortunately, angel families that are minted every day in this country, thanks in large measure to politicians, mainly in urban centers, but not limited to urban centers, who refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement, who are backed up by local prosecutors who refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement. For example, this California gubernatorial debate, which has seen a spike in interest after Swalwell's demise. The question was, one of the questions asked the other night of the candidates, would you support, protect people who are issued CDL licenses in the state of California who don't speak English? The Republican, one of the two Republicans, Steve Hilton, answered the question this way.
So I've discussed this with someone called Marcus Coleman from Bakersfield. His beautiful daughter, Delilah, was put into a coma by someone driving a truck. An illegal immigrant, didn't speak English, and his daughter now disabled for life. That's what we're dealing with here. It is completely ridiculous that we have people driving on our roads who can't understand road signs and can't speak English. So, yes, of course, and I've discussed this with my friend Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, we will not be issuing commercial driver licenses when I'm governor to people who are illegally here and who don't speak English. That is obvious common sense.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Xavier Becerra, who was former California Attorney General, HHS Secretary under the big guy. He is now, I mean, that's sort of muddled. One day Tom Steyer is the front runner, the next day Becerra is, the next day Katie Porter is seeing new life breathed into her campaign by former staffers who were saying, you know, Katie Porter's not so bad. She does have the temperament for the job, even though she's a raving lunatic who throws hot mashed potatoes around. So Becerra may be the front runner. It's all bunched up. This is what he had to say on the same question.
Should the CHP be giving English proficiency tests to truck drivers? And if not, would you as governor push back against the Trump administration on this policy? You have 60 seconds.
I would definitely push back on the Trump administration on, again, a reckless policy. I would make sure that that officer understands that he cannot discriminate against any driver without having a basis to do so. I understood a little bit of what that individual was trying to say. I couldn't see the signs, but it certainly sounded like he was trying to describe what that particular sign was trying to represent. And so we have to be very careful that we're not profiling consumers in California, drivers in California.
So, I mean, going back to the point that we were discussing before the news, it doesn't matter how many illegal alien truck drivers with illicit CDLs, how many people they kill. We've seen spectacular crashes on the highways and byways of California. Doesn't matter. They will double down on this policy because it goes back to what Joe Abraham said. Exactly right. If you really look at it, I think it comes into focus pretty quickly. This isn't about compassion. It's not about welcoming the stranger or what other phony Christian patina they put over it. It is about numbers that translate to votes, that translate to apportionment, that translate to political power. And if some unlucky schmucks who play by the rules and just try to get along in California or Illinois get killed in the process, well, you're going to break a few eggs. Doesn't have to be that way. Again, it just takes a different attitude in the position of political leadership. So, for example, we're well versed on Greg Abbott and his approach to immigration enforcement and his support, unweaning support of sanctuary cities and states. Oh, you want people that are being released into this country by the Biden administration? We're happy to bust them up to you. And then he's the bad guy. That's okay. He could take the weight. He made the point. It wasn't lost on too many people, except the willfully blind. Well, he also deals with matters internally because, of course, big city politics in Texas does not necessarily reflect the larger political culture in Texas. Austin, Houston, parts of Dallas, that's not Trump country. But when you have a governor that is intent on enforcing intergovernmental agreements in advance of public safety, then boy, oh boy, isn't it interesting to see how quickly accountability can come?
City Council potentially looking to reverse its move to limit cooperation with ICE. Their current policy scrapped a rule that officers wait 30 minutes for feds to respond when they encounter someone named in an ICE warrant. But revisions are now being considered to that after Governor Abbott froze $110 million in funding, saying the ordinance violates an agreement with his state. This vote happening after ICE in Houston carried out an absolutely amazingly large sweeping operation, arresting 277 illegal migrants just this month alone. DHS says agents picked up 17 child predators and 6 murderers, among other crimes.
Yeah, Houston, the elected leadership, the leadership of the police department, you don't want to abide this agreement we have? Well, then I'm withholding funds to the city. And, you know, at that level, those funds are material. $73 million that Sean Duffy is withholding from New York State over their continued issuance of illicit CDL licenses to people in this country illegally. You know, that may not be enough of a dent to get compliance, but what the purse strings that Greg Abbott controls makes an impact on Houston. So they're reversing course. Now, it's not done yet, but I think it's going to be. And by the way, what kind of asinine policy is that? Are we playing hide and seek? Wait 30 minutes before you call ICE? You encounter somebody in this country illegally, we're going to cooperate, but we're going to give them a 30-minute head start. Are we? I mean, literally, are we playing games here? Is this fun? Greg Abbott on Fox.
You are correct in saying that the City Council has amended their ordinance, and they've done so in a way that complies with the contract they signed with the state of Texas to get that $110 million. So for the city of Houston, they're in compliance. However, also a signer of that contract was the Houston Police Department. As we're speaking right now, the Houston Police Department has not fully agreed to fully comply with that very same contract. Because they are one of the signers of it, if the Houston Police Department does not fully comply with the terms of that agreement to detain any illegal immigrant they encounter and to notify DHS of the encounter, then the city and the police department still stand to lose that $110 million.
So he is going to demand specific performance. And that's the political willpower question. Answered one way in Texas, another way in Illinois. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call in and text line. And I'll tell you what, that exhibition of political willpower has real world impact. They're not all the same. There are things you can do about it. Different political choices result in different policy choices, result in a different environment in which to live. Don't believe me. Believe CBS News. CBS News reporting on the situation in Eagle Pass, Texas, right on the border in Eagle Pass. Remember, that was a high-profile corridor in the Biden administration because you had thousands of people that were invited to come to this country and enter illegally, to be released, thousands of them staging in and around Eagle Pass. Remember that some news outlets would be talking to ranchers in that area of Eagle Pass, and they see people meandering through their property all the time, and so on and so forth. And Border Patrol was effectively told to stand down in the Biden years, as has been well documented. Well, where do things stand now? The combined effort of Greg Abbott and the Trump administration. You know, what the Gormans said. There needs to be cooperation between the federal, state, and locals. What a concept.
This is the U.S.-Mexico border near Eagle Pass, Texas. You can see Mexico just a few yards away across the Rio Grande. And this is what it looked like in December of 2023 under the Biden administration. Behind me is a makeshift staging ground where hundreds of migrants from Latin America have been sleeping and waiting to be processed by overtaxed Border Patrol agents here in Eagle Pass, Texas. At that time, we saw hundreds of people, including families with young children and babies, cross into the U.S. illegally in large numbers. Some of them had to get past the Rio Grande, get past the razor wire. In fact, some of them, we saw ourselves cut themselves in the process of entering the country illegally. But during this entire trip, we have not seen a single migrant. And the fire chief of Eagle Pass told us that during the Biden administration, at the peak of the border crisis, his team was responding to about 3 reports of migrants drowning every single day. Now they're responding to 1 drowning every 3 months. So the situation here has changed dramatically.
Changed dramatically. Chris, Dan Ryan.
Hey, Dan, real quick. So you just went back to that clip with the governor race in California and Hilton and the other gentleman. How in their right mind can somebody allow that comment from that gentleman saying, I kind of understood what he was saying, so I don't think we should discriminate against him. So my biggest thing is that when someone can't speak English here in America and something happens, God forbid, say there's a house fire or whatever the case may be, and this person comes out of the house and tries to tell the fire department, hey, there's more people in the house, but he can't speak English, to portray that, how is that okay? Like, how can that be okay to anybody that's on the left saying he's okay to do that? That affects people and human beings. I don't understand this, Dan. This is just absolutely befuddling to me. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Chris. Right. Yeah, it's befuddling. Until you say, well, why would they do that? Don't they understand the danger they're putting people in? Don't they understand how nonsensical that sounds on its face? Right, but are they trying to make sense? Are they trying to enhance public safety? Make our roads safer? Or is it about numbers for apportionment, for votes, for political power? If you see what their true motivations are based on their conduct, then what is inexplicable becomes readily understandable. It's just a question now of whether or not you think that's legitimate, whether or not that should be tolerated. And, of course, the arguments they make, not that they would concede the underlying description, but the arguments they make is, you can't get bogged down in these details. The ends justify the means, and we're trying to save our democracy here. Don't you understand? We're mid-totalitarian takeover by Orange Man. And that's apparently a sufficient argument for the majority of voters in places like California and Illinois and New York. I don't know what else to tell you. This is not inscrutable. This is not an unsolvable riddle. It's a question of political willpower. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, what was befuddling was that under Biden, we had a border czar that never went to the border.
Who is the border czar?
Kamala.
Oh, well, no. That's unfair, George. She was busy focused on root causes of migration from Northern Triangle countries, don't you know? She was the root causes czar. And you know what? They inadvertently provided great insight on the root causes of mass migration to this country. I mean, the outcome of mass migration, the root cause is, yes, there are instances of political and religious repression. There is economic, migration, coming to America for a better life, which is most of it. But I mean, they showed you what the root cause of having 12 to 20 to 30 to whatever the number is, million people meandering about. A small percentage, but a big number in raw numbers of people committing crimes and preying on other people who are otherwise law-abiding, both American citizens and other migrants, as we saw when those three Haitian migrants who were killed by the illegal immigrant Indian semi-driver in Florida, on that Florida Turnpike, when he tried to make a U-turn. That was inadvisable. But I mean, going back, they showed us the way that you can manifest the root causes of mass migration is to open the borders. Root causes, root consequences of policy choices. The other way to do it is to do what's been done at Eagle Pass, to use Eagle Pass as a microcosm of the larger difference in approaches between the two administrations, shall we say. And so they come up with these sentimental cover stories. You either go big, save our democracy, stop the totalitarian takeover, no kings, don't you know? Or they go small and they say these people built our country. Like Pramila Jayapal said, this country was built by Somalians and so forth. Okay. Or the rally that was held in New York City this week. It was illegal immigrants who got us through the pandemic. It was only illegal immigrants who worked. The rest of us, lazy American citizens, just sat on our big behinds, sipping our lattes and working on our laptops or playing on our laptops.
We know what is happening and the disruption in our communities. This is about humanity and about dignity. But some people don't understand that. So I will say it in the way that they will. Money and the economy. Yeah. It is the immigrants who ushered us through the pandemic. Who went to work while the rest of us stayed at home.
Only illegals work during the pandemic. Because when they say immigrants, they don't distinguish between legal and illegal. You catch that, right? Of course. So there's the, sort of the general, very thin moral argument. This is about human dignity. It's not. I mean, in the sense that, yes, obviously every human being is entitled to be treated with respect and dignity. But that's not the issue of whether or not that gives you license to call your shot to come to this country. Of course. It's all sophistry. But in places like California and Illinois, we have neither the will to confront our ills or their cures. Happy to report in other states that's not the case. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
Have you seen my husband?
No.
He's hot.
I'm sorry to hear that.
What?
Good news. Hassellus Mattress is home to a variety of cool gel mattresses, including Tempur-Pedic.
Okay, but...
And right now, get 48 months interest-free financing on Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup, free removal of your old mattress, and a $300 MasterCard gift card with your new Tempur-Pedic.
Wow, that's pretty hot.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassellus.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:06, we return to one of the intellectual leaders of the Neo-Marxist Party. He's on the trail campaigning for Neo-Marxist Senate candidates. He should probably be one himself. Skip ahead. Hasan Piker. Now he's apparently a New York Times contributor. Hasan Piker, and if the rich don't play by the rules, why should I? 6:06. It's not 6 o'clock on AM 560.
A vote in the Senate at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 48.
Approving a resolution that's a step toward ending a funding standoff for ICE and Border Patrol, which Democrats can't block as they keep demanding immigration enforcement reform.
This is a budget tool that allows Republicans to pass legislation with a simple majority, and overnight they unlock the first step of this lengthy process by approving a budget resolution. The measure sends $70 billion to ICE and CBP, funding the agencies through the rest of President Trump's term.
Fox's Madeline Rivera, the House has to consider it next. In Virginia, the day after voters approved congressional redistricting that could give Democrats 4 more House seats in the November elections, a judge blocks it,
deeming it as unconstitutional. And Democrats already vowing to fight back. Virginia's Democratic Attorney General Jay Jones writing, "My office will immediately file an appeal in the Court of Appeals. As I said last night, Virginia voters have spoken, and an activist judge should not have veto power over the people's vote."
It's day 10 of the U.S. military blockade around Iran's ports.
It's costing Iran's economy about $500 million a day. The White House says it's prepared to continue this blockade for as long as needed. President Trump tells Fox there is no rush and no time frame to end the war.
Fox's Brian Yanis in Tel Aviv.
CENTCOM says so far 31 ships have been turned away or blocked because of this blockade. And new this morning, we now know that 3 of those ships were Iranian oil tankers that were blocked in Asian waters thousands of miles away.
Wildfires keep scorching northern Florida, southern Georgia. More than 50 homes have burned down, 20,000 plus acres charred, and the biggest of the fires barely contained.
And the weather conditions are not working in our favor. It's going to be a hot, dry day. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-80s, and we're also looking at a little bit of wind.
Fox weather meteorologist Britta Merwin. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 52 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A measure giving Illinois voters the opportunity to consider a millionaire's tax is one step closer to the November ballot. Jim Talamonte reports.
The proposal for a state constitutional amendment would raise the tax rate on income more than $1 million from 4.95% to 7.95%. State Rep LaShawn Ford argued in favor of his resolution.
This will make Illinois schools better. It'll make Illinois stronger by making sure that we can invest in our schools and provide property tax relief to families.
Half the revenue collected from the millionaire's tax would be used for property tax relief. The other half would go to public school districts. Taxpayers Federation of Illinois President Maurice Schulten said he does not oppose a graduated income tax, but he does oppose having a dollar amount in the state constitution.
More and more taxpayers will be hit by that.
I'm Jim Talamonte.
Chicago Transit Authority leaders say the safety remains a priority after recently laying off 159 unarmed security guards. Interim CTA President Nora Learson says they're redirecting the funds saved to expand their security resources. The transit agency has increased the presence of police officers in recent months because of pressure from the Trump administration. Meanwhile, the 2-person canine teams employed by Action Canine will continue to work for the CTA. And a majority of Chicago voters say they'd like to see the Bears move to the northwest suburban Arlington Heights area instead of Indiana. A new poll shows 10% would prefer Indiana and 26% say they really don't care. The poll also indicated that 39% would support the Bears even if they move south to Indiana. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long. Not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear. Hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Our founders believed that freedom wasn't just a word. It was a way of life. The freedom to move, the freedom to pursue what matters most, the freedom to live fully. But pain has a way of taking those freedoms from us. That's why Relief Factor exists. My pain had become so bad years ago that I couldn't paint, I couldn't work, I couldn't sleep. I was barely holding on. I was losing hope until my wife forced me to try Relief Factor. I didn't think it would work because it's 100% natural, drug-free, blah, blah, blah. But it absolutely broke the back of my pain. It might work for you. Over 1 million Americans have found relief and reclaimed parts of their life they thought were behind them. So this year, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom, ask yourself the simple question: are you living with the freedom you deserve? Relief Factor gives you the opportunity to live pain-free. Get your life back, the life you love. Try Relief Factor today. $19.95, 3-week quick start. Ready for you now. ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In good shape on the Edens this morning. It's 14 minutes in both directions from Lake Cook to Montrose. You've got 18 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 27. You have some police activity and a stall on the Ike on the inbound side at Harlem Avenue. So a little bit slow, 19 minutes inbound from Wolf to the O Post Office. Outbound is 13. You've got 27 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound southbound is 23. Watch out for a collision on the inbound Dan Ryan right at 91st Street. 16 minutes from 95th to the Burn interchange. Outbound looks good at 11. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine, reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warmth with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will be cloudy, breezy, and not as warm with a chance of a couple of showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The greatest meeting of the mind since Jefferson dined alone. Nadja Spiegelman. She is the New York Times opinion culture editor. Staff writer from the New Yorker named Gia Tolentino. And neo-Jacobin podcaster, streamer Hassan Piker, who I've talked about before, if you've listened to the show, several times, because he continues to rise in prominence. First, he came to prominence because he's the most popular, one of, if not the most popular, neo-Marxist streamer out there. Millions of people, I guess. That's what I'm told. And now the left is sort of mainstreaming him. He's on the campaign I mean, if you call being on the campaign trail with Graham Plantner, the reformed Nazi running for the neo-Marxist Party's Senate nomination in Maine. On the campaign trail with him. We have a think piece from the New York Times by Ezra Klein. Hassan Piker is not the enemy. Yeah, he says some things that make me a little uncomfortable. Ezra Klein, when he says, I don't know, Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel, maybe that would make a Jewish gentleman a little uncomfortable. It should. But he's not the enemy. I guess, very much like the pandering that goes on across the board. There's a lot of pandering going by politicians to, podcasters, new media types that they think they understand have a big following. They think will demonstrate how hip and now and cool that they are. Yeah, I'm doing all these podcasts. I don't need no legacy media. And you really don't, especially if you're center right. But I just find the whole thing, well, it's just replete with bootlicking and pandering, and I just don't have much interest in either. Anyway, so they're mainstreaming Hassan Piker. Why not? A lot of the things he says represent the actual center-cut positions of that party. I mean, maybe a lot of them won't go out and say America deserved 9/11 like Hassan Piker did. Maybe they won't call for the murder of a sitting United States senator like Hassan Piker did when he called for Rick Scott to be killed. But, he's just pushing the rhetorical envelope a bit. No big deal. Well, anyway, these three got together to do a podcast. Real provocative. The rich don't play by the rules, so why should I? Why petty theft may be the new political protest. New? I'm sorry, were you not here for the Summer of Love? When Black Lives Matters was ascendant and we were treated, another big, deep thinker, platformed by the New York Times. Remember, they collaborated on the 1619 Project. And that's when, during that summer of rioting and looting, we were treated to new understandings of, rioting and looting. So, for example, looting wasn't looting. It was symbolic takings. You remember. Symbolic takings. Because the people who were stealing Jordans from the Nike store were oppressed. And they were throwing off the chains of their oppressor and expressing themselves in that moment of liberty, by stealing a pair of high tops. Sure. Got it. Nikole Hannah-Jones. Where'd you go? Where is she? Where's Ibram Kendi? Well, they're being displaced. This is what's ascendant now, Hassan Piker. Oh, you thought it couldn't get worse? Well, here they are, those three, tackling this rich topic of the rich don't play by the rules, so why should I? Indeed. We've moved beyond race. We're getting back to class as the basis for the revolution. Hassan Piker, he's pro-piracy across the board with some qualifications.
Yeah, no, I'm pro-piracy all the way. Like, across the board, would you pirate a car? Yes. If you could. If one could pirate
a car?
It was just a classic thing back in the day. The government-funded anti-piracy initiatives would be like, dude, would you steal a car? I'm like, yeah, sure. If I could get away with it, if it was as easy as, pirating IP, I would do it. Yeah.
Would you dine and dash from your local diner?
Never. Except 35%. Mike's, come on.
No, I wouldn't do that. And if I saw somebody doing that, I'd probably pay for their meal.
Yeah. Would you steal a book from the library?
Never.
No.
Would you steal from the Louvre?
Yes.
I would not be logistically capable of executing such a fact, but would I cheer on every news story of people that I see doing it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's cool. We gotta get back to cool crimes like that. Like, bank robberies, right? Stealing priceless artifacts, things of that nature. I feel like that's way cooler than the 7,000th new cryptocurrency scheme that people are engaging in.
Exactly. I mean, definitely more bank robberies. I mean, I want life in Chicago to play out like Heat on a daily basis, because that's cool. 312-642-5600 is our alphawealthgroup.com call-in and text line. So cool. That Gia Tolentino, who would never steal from the local diner, tip 35% because she's down with the struggle. She did say, though, that she has stolen food from Whole Foods on several occasions. She said that one of her duties as a member of her ritzy Brooklyn neighborhood's mutual aid group was to buy groceries for one of her neighbors, Miss Nancy. And so I'd be getting Miss Nancy all of her groceries, and then I would finish, and I'd be like, oh, my God, 4 lemons. I forgot 4 lemons. And on several occasions, I was like, I'm just going to go back in and grab those 4 lemons and get the hell out. At the time, I was like, I had not been to Whole Foods. I had a bit more consumer discipline about where I was spending my money then. I already felt like I was in the hole, even my shopping there. And it certainly felt, in a utilitarian sense, I was like, this is not a big deal. Right. She's employed by Condé Nast, right? New Yorker. Piker went on to say, full chaos of shoppers stealing wantonly and wholly, bypassing the self-checkout machines is what he believes. He also had some provocative thoughts on killing the rich. I mean, a certain cadre within the cadre of the rich, not these people, not his colleagues, his fellow travelers, fellow communists. Because, by the way, that's how he describes himself. Accurately, in fact. On the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Hassan Piker.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country. And the consequences of that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me, because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
Why don't you just say it, why this death should have taken place? Brian Thompson had been found guilty of social murder by Hassan Piker and his friends. Boy, it's a quick jump, isn't it? We're having a fun conversation about sticking it to capitalism. These capitalist dilettantes. And so, low-grade criminality perpetuated by these navel gazers is going to be the remedy for capitalism. They're striking a blow for the local diner by stealing from Whole Foods, striking a blow against the system by, trying to give birth to another iteration of the weathermen to go engaging in bank robberies and cool crimes. Cool crimes. And if a cop gets shot and killed in the process, well, again, same conversation we were having last hour. You're going to break a few eggs as attendant to the revolution. But talking about that sort of chic theft. And then all of a sudden we're talking about executing people convicted by, the apparatchiks of social murder. Social murder. The violence of poverty. I mean, this is all the sort of ham-handed Marxist rhetoric from a bygone era, as he so disclosed when he referenced Engels. I think this guy's read one book, The Marx Engels Reader, and he takes these phrases and he applies it to target the people he likes and protect the people, target the people he dislikes and protect the people he likes, very much like a totalitarian would. He is a particularly maladjusted person who gets to the promotion of violence like that. He sitting back the New York Times Opinions podcast in comfy chairs and poring over the privileges of the rich and so forth. It all sounds, and going to Yale and participating in a debate arguing that the worst thing that happened in the 20th century was the fall of the Soviet Union because it gave rise to America as the lone superpower. oh, this is high-minded stuff. He's sort of an intellectual academic. No, he's not. He's a thug. He's an ignoramus. And he's got a following in the millions. And that's the frightening part. The frightening part is not Hasan Piker and what he knows and doesn't know. The latter vastly overwhelming the former. It's the following. And I mean, by the way, just in case you think I'm being unfair to Hasan Piker.
I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be f***ing showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these and letting their intestines just ride on stage. Murder those in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
Well, he's not obtuse.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Kill Rick Scott.
Yeah, well, Rick Scott guilty of social murder like Brian Thompson.
This guy has the understanding of foreign policy of like a 12-year-old. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their Isn't that how he lost his fucking dumbass eye? Because he got his fucking eye hole fucked? America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it.
That's him talking about Dan Crenshaw. He's a deep thinker. Very thoughtful. Those textured arguments he makes require a lot of poring over, don't they? He belongs on a podcast with these anti-capitalist dilettantes writing for these silly magazines that once used to have like actual serious literary and intellectual people contribute, but those days are over. Like so many things, they're living off a brand that no longer reflects the product. Sean and Darien.
Yeah, hi. When does it become a crime with all this hate speech, with all this promoting violence, and obviously that CEO was murdered? I mean, why aren't we trying to find a way to put people like this in jail? I mean, I don't understand. Thanks.
Well, thanks for the call, Sean. I mean, until he makes a specific threat of violence against a specific person, I mean, the Rick Scott comment is starting to get closer to the line. But no. Putting Hasan Piker in jail accomplishes very little. And I'm not saying that he should be immune from prosecution if he commits a crime. I'm hardly saying that. But in terms of trying to find a way, he's one of those guys that I want to keep talking. As I said, the problem isn't Hasan Piker. The problem is the following. And so I would rather see more attention paid, and I mean, and people who are somewhat serious, even though I disagree with them about 85% of the time, like Ezra Klein, writing Hasan Piker is not our enemy in the New York Times. What an embarrassing column that was. Talk about a tortured line of reasoning Ezra Klein chose to take, I assume for political reasons, because of Hasan Piker's influence among this rabid base that they want to turn out because they'll take the majorities and limiting Trump and ultimately defeating whoever Trump's successor is, however they can get it with whoever they can get. That's unfortunately the posture. But no, Hasan Piker should be met, and all of those platforming him should be met with intellectual resistance. We should, don't address him because, that just gives him more audience. He's got an audience. He built this audience on that content. And that's a problem that can't be ignored. And frankly, I say the same thing in much different context to some charlatans present and past that, presented themselves as conservatives. We need to do a better job of getting right-thinking people in community with one another to build the community of right-thinking people that have, a basis of knowledge from which they're operating, real intellectual curiosity, trying to figure things out, and are open to scholarship from a lot of different directions to inform discussions and advance understanding. That's where we should be. I'm not in the business of, or want to be in the business of policing people's speech to try to jackpot them into criminal charges. Again, you cross the line, you cross the line, fine. We need to be more focused on the communities we're not building as right-thinking people get pulled into some of these clown shows, both on the right and the left, but particularly on the left. I mean, I'd love to, I don't know, but I'd love to see the demographics on Hassan Piker's audience. I'm sure I would be even more frightened than I am now. Phil in Norridge.
Hey, Dan, I got a wild question. How come none of these people ever look at the communist dictators and communist leaders' bank accounts? Isn't Putin sitting on like over $200 or $300 billion personal wealth, for example?
Yeah, it's hard to know, Phil, but he is not a member of the underclass, Putin. Yeah, of course. I think, part of the problem is I think that there's a certain desensitization. There's a certain acceptance that people in power, even in, America, will use their power to enrich themselves. And that's just, part of the deal. And we can't stop it, and everybody does it, so we discount it. I don't think we should, but I think that's part of it. I mean, for sure, you use this. I mean, we're talking about with the Operation Economic Fury and the mullahs in Tehran and all of their offshore accounts, and Scott Bessent and his team tracking them down and freezing them up and so forth. But yeah, every despot, right? You'll go country for country. Every despot has fleeced his people and enriched himself. Some have gotten away with more than others. And of course, in this country, we do it, in a more, I don't want to say sophisticated, because it's not all that sophisticated, but it just has like a more genteel feel to when we do it. We put family members on the payroll and we get inside information to make decisions about our portfolio, Nancy Pelosi and others. Insider contracts, waivers, sinecures, stand-up NGOs that get, are downstream from the federal trough, federal, state, local troughs. So we have a cushy deal when we fall out of government until it's time for us to fall back in. I mean, we see it. We see the scams being run. I mean, look at, we're base camp for it in Chicago and Illinois. So I think say like, it's sort of you get into sort of a whataboutism, right? Oh, the despots enrich themselves, and sure they do, and so do those who we believe are temporary representatives in a republic. All right, let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 55 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The family of a man who was shot and killed by a Chicago police officer last December is suing the city and 2 officers. A lawsuit filed in federal court claims there were more than a dozen civil rights violations during the death of Roberto Calavero, including excessive force and false arrest. Police say tactical officers were investigating a stolen sedan in the Westridge neighborhood on December 9th when another dark-colored sedan with 2 men and a woman pulled alongside it. The 2 men got out of the dark-colored sedan and attempted to enter the stolen sedan. One man fled on foot while Cavario got back into the sedan. He refused to exit the vehicle and there was a struggle. He accelerated the car, dragging an officer who shot him. 1 man is dead and 3 females wounded following a shooting on Chicago's southwest side. Police say the victims were standing near the sidewalk yesterday in the 3400 block of West 26th Street when they were shot by an unknown person. All 4 were sent to the hospital where the man later died. Detectives are investigating. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt defends the president.
And so all those presidents you mentioned, they all said Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. Well, now we've gone after their nuclear capacity once. They began to rebuild it again. We went after it a second time, and they closed the Strait of Hormuz, so they escalated. We have to control the ladder of escalation. I don't see an alternative. What was the president supposed to do? Let them rebuild it?
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
Let me ask you something. Does your garage floor look bad? Covered in salt, cracked, or stained from the winter's brutal blast? Well, I've got a fix for you so you can start enjoying your garage this spring. Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty and gross to showroom, shiny new in just 1 day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, permanent durable solution. Guaranteed to never chip or peel. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage this spring and summer. Schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawk Park Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We have some police activity on the outbound side of the Bishop Ford, closing down the exit ramp to get onto the Dan Ryan. Now on 57, the inbound exit ramp to get onto the Bishop Ford is also shut down with that police activity. And on the Dan Ryan outbound, police activity slows you down between 87th Street and the Bishop Ford 57 split. So it's slow from the Byrne interchange to 95th Street, about 12 minutes. Inbound is 18. Watch out for a crash on the inbound Kennedy at Nagel Avenue, so 25 minutes from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange. Outbound is 31. The Ike is 24 in, 14 out from Wolf to the old post office. 32 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 22. This report is a service of the Hartford Auto Insurance. Wait until you hear this. You could save hundreds by switching to AARP Auto Insurance from the Hartford. Visit trusthartford.com. The Hartford, your protection is their passion. The Hartford Insurance Group, Inc. pays royalty fees to AARP for the use of its intellectual property. AARP and its affiliates are non-insurers. Savings vary. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine, reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warm conditions with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will bring cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and slightly cooler temperatures with a chance of a few showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, the ill-equipped caucus leader for the neo-Marxists in the House, he's spiking the football after the vote on that Virginia redistricted map, which would ostensibly move the balance of the congressional delegation of Virginia from 6-5 Democrat to 10-1 Democrat. Not so fast. A circuit court judge has blocked the certification of those results. We'll talk about that with Ken Cuccinelli in a minute. I don't know yet, and we'll also find out, I guess, from Ken, whether Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones has wished for the death of that circuit court judge's children yet, as is his wont, the chief law enforcement officer in Virginia. We'll have to find out about that. But back to Hakeem Jeffries. He's spiking the football, and he's already moving on. He's moving on to Florida, and he's got a message for Ron DeSantis. FAFO.
Our message to Florida Republicans is F around and find out. If they go down the road of a DeSantis dummy-mander, the Florida Republicans are going to find themselves in the same situation as Texas Republicans, who are on the run right now. And under no circumstances are Texas Republicans picking up 5 seats. They'll be fortunate if they get 2 or 3. While in California, we are going to get all 5. The Republicans are dummy-mandering their way into the minority before a single vote is cast, because they started this war, and we're going to finish it. The electoral tide is turning in Florida.
Mm-hmm. You can imagine how intimidated Ron DeSantis is by those remarks from Hakeem Jeffries. Well, you don't have to imagine, because here's DeSantis responding.
This guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House. And he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, Florida, we're going to go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Voters will not like what they see. They will not want that type of ideology. And so the door is open. The invitation's out there. I don't think there'd be anything better for the Republican Party of Florida but to have Jeffries there. Now, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's as left as they come. He's always going left. And yet the far left hates him. You know, they call him a dollar store Obama. They call him AIPAC Shakur, all these different derogatory names that they do. And so he's tried to ingratiate himself with there, but they're just not drinking the Kool-Aid, and so they give him a hard time. So I kind of feel bad for that. But please be my guest to come down in Florida. We would love to have you. Any questions?
I agree, and I'm happy to be an ambassador to squire him around Southwest Florida. I'll take him to Seed to Table, meet Alfie Oakes, take him out to Old Florida, play around the golf, meet my fellow Old Floridians. I'm sure they would be love to hear chapter and verse from Hakeem Jeffries about how he's turning the electoral tide in Florida. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, former Attorney General of the state of Virginia in his own right, and former Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Ken, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Good to talk to you.
Yeah. All right. So has Jay Jones wished for the death of anyone's children at this point?
No, not yet. He's just wishing that this appeal could go to the Fourth Circuit instead of the Virginia Supreme Court, where he's likely to lose.
Well, so handicap, tell us what's happening with the litigation surrounding the vote on Tuesday.
Yeah, so the Virginia Supreme Court in February got one of the many challenges to this referendum, and they said, look, we have an over 100-year-old precedent that courts are not to touch these referenda until the vote is over. So they weren't ducking. They were following over 100 years of legal precedent in Virginia. A good analogy is it's the people voting on the referendum is like the governor signing or vetoing a bill. That's the end of the legislative process. And you don't sue. Look, I'm going to sue on the assault weapons ban that they're rolling through in Virginia, but I don't get to do that until the bill is final. Same idea. So it had to wait for the Tuesday vote. After outspending our side 3 or 4 to 1, we'll see when all the numbers come in. They won by 2 or 3 points and overturned a 2-to-1 constitutional amendment, by which I mean 5 years ago, we set up our bipartisan commission in Virginia by a 2-to-1 margin of the people. That's what they had to overcome with all their money. But they were so desperate and brazen, frankly, legislative gangsta style to do this, that they jammed it through in ways that violate the Virginia, not federal, Virginia Constitution in 4 different ways. And some of them are so brazen that I think we have a 7-person Supreme Court. It's 4 Republican appointees, 3 Democrat appointees. I think this could be a 7-0 ruling on some of those issues. So I do. And briefing is due in the Virginia Supreme Court today. They're going to have an oral argument on Monday on 2 of the 4 constitutional issues. So this is going to move very quickly. And I would predict that the referendum is thrown out by the Virginia Supreme Court sometime in May.
You mentioned him wanting to get it to a federal court. Is there any basis? Does this implicate any federal issues that could allow the Jeffries to get it to federal court?
No, the big brazen problems here are with violating the state constitution. Like a lot of states, Virginia requires passing a proposed amendment twice through its General Assembly on each side of a state election. Well, the last time the Democrats had control, they gave us 45-day elections. And you'll remember Spanberger was elected last year. That was the election they want to use as the intervening election. Their problem is voting started September 19th last year, and they didn't pass this proposed amendment for the first time until Halloween, after over 1 million people had already voted in their 45-day election. and they want to call that the intervening election. The other brazen violation is that the second passage has to happen at least 90 days before it's submitted to the voters. That's the language of the Virginia Constitution. Well, they wanted to treat it as 90 days before April 21st, the consummation of the election. Voting started on March 6th, and second passage was January 19th. And I think everybody listening to you and me, even the math impaired, can tell that's less than 2 months, so less than 90 days. They violated that constitutional provision. And the special session that itself, where they first passed it for the first time, was called to deal with the budget. And to add a new subject requires a 2/3 vote of the General Assembly, and they didn't get that because they knew they couldn't. So they just broke all the rules, and now they're going to scream, "Oh, the will of the people!" And
yes, right,
no
exactly.
court would dare overturn this.
Right.
Yes, the dare is on their side. The behavior is incredibly brazen. And Spanberger went along with it, supposedly running as a moderate, telling us how terrible gerrymandering is, and then not only signing everything to make this happen and funding it, but advertising for it, supporting it,
and the state
calling
Supreme
it fair.
And this, yeah, well, yes. Well, that's one issue I wanted to get to as well. So just to be clear, because that's gotten a lot of play, the language in the actual ballot question, to ensure fair elections, that's real neutral.
Right.
But that's it doesn't implicate any constitutional issues. It's the structure and the process that you described that they violated. That's why this will fail.
Yes, and I do expect it to fail. So a lot of people are pointing at Judge Hurley and Tazewell. It's Tazewell, folks, not Tazewell. Tazewell County in Southwest Virginia.
We have a Tazewell County, too, so we know.
Oh, yeah? Good.
Yeah.
Well, you all used to be part of Virginia. Congratulations. So, you're blessed in that way. But unfortunately, we share a potentially very gerrymandered map. But people are looking to him and calling him, the Attorney General called him an activist judge. I love it when Democrats are concerned about so-called activist judges. It's so heartening to me. It gives me hope for America. But
thought it was a living document, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And but the fact of the matter is, I think that on the constitutional rulings, he's going to be upheld. So, they're all going to owe Judge Hurley an apology here in about a month, I think.
And you mentioned something important, that the distribution of the 7 justices is 4-3 Republican, but you're sure, don't dash our hopes here. You're sure that it shouldn't be a Republican-Dem issue. You mentioned it based on what you just said. It should be 7-0. But the pressure will now be applied to these justices for the 3 to hold the line and be partisan, and to try to get one perhaps less than stout of heart Republican to flip, as we've seen happen before, and that would really add insult to injury if that occurred.
It certainly would, but I think that the 3 Democrat judges are not all of the partisan type. They're all better judges, for example, than Justice Jackson on the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's a low bar.
I know it is, but that's the kind of the bar people look at. And when it's this brazen, I think it's a legitimate question for people in other parts of the country who don't follow this court. I expect them to rule correctly and to see this referendum turn out. And they'll do it quickly because they know very well there's an election that has to be had, and everybody needs to know what the lines are. But once they rule, there's no more appeal. This doesn't get appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, because the Virginia Supreme Court is the final judge of the Virginia Constitution.
I wanted to get to your reaction, and I'm sure no Democrats in Virginia are being asked these uncomfortable questions by the D.C. press corps, but your reaction to the indictments that were announced this week against the Southern Poverty Law Center. Certainly, You're familiar with them. Maybe you even had a look-see while you were Attorney General, because they've been plying their hustle for a long time. And since one of the seminal events was Charlottesville, and they had a false flag operator being paid to organize the Charlottesville that has been central to what the Democrats have to say for the last 3 cycles. Listen to this. SP, Southern Poverty Law Center revenue before Charlottesville, $52 million. After Charlottesville, $133 million. And
a great investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's some suggestion too. I've seen data flying about. I can't verify this independently, but that they have offshore accounts, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that could bring their total assets under management, if you will, to almost $800 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing some donors sue them for fraud, and
to cover their behinds, if nothing else. Yeah,
to cover their own behinds. That's exactly right. And but if you're at the Southern Poverty Law Center, they've had some internal feuds over the years, and I'm sure that while this pattern of behavior was part of it, the fund the hate to fight the hate. Talk about a fraud scheme of massive scale, and an organization that had historically done a lot of good. If you go back really to before we were born, but since we were born, it's been the other way. They've been scrambling quite successfully, frankly, if you judge criminality, quite successfully to grow and expand their power, frankly. I mean, look, the whole Biden administration was tripping over themselves to get advice from the SPLC over every little thing they could think of. I mean, these folks were in the Justice Department. They were virtually directing the Justice Department in the Biden era. And that kind of behavior reaches back to the Obama presidency as well, and beyond. So, and Clinton, and this is going to be an extraordinary unfolding. They are headquartered in Alabama.
Right.
And I have tried to get people who they have defamed to file defamation cases against them. But nobody wanted to, even in Alabama, nobody wanted to go up against an $800 million gorilla. Well, we'll see if some people are willing to do that now.
Ken Cuccinelli, former Virginia Attorney General, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, former Deputy Secretary of DHS as well. Ken, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be with you, Dan.
Good to have you. And Ken joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If stairs in your home are becoming difficult, there's a practical solution, and it doesn't have to come with pushy salespeople. Access provides dependable stair lifts designed to help you stay safely in the home you love. No gimmicks, no overselling, just honest guidance, quality equipment, and professional local installation. We'll explain your options, work within your budget, and let you decide what's right at your pace. For a straightforward, no pressure, free in-home consultation, call 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
For 25 years, Applied Mechanical Sales has kept Chicago's commercial buildings warm and running smoothly. From schools and churches to high-rises and hotels, they provide the boilers, water heaters, and exhaust systems that contractors and engineers count on. Whether it's a replacement project or a new construction, Applied Mechanical helps you select the right equipment, standard or high efficiency, for your specific application. What sets them apart? They match the right Camas equipment to your building's exact needs, so it performs flawlessly through Chicago winters for the next 15 to 20 years. and they don't disappear after installation. Applied Mechanical ensures your systems run at peak efficiency year after year. Are you a degreed mechanical engineer looking to lead a growing sales team? They'd love to talk to you. Schedule a site visit and boiler assessment at appliedmechanicalsales.com. That's appliedmechanicalsales.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
At 7:07, we're going to talk more about the Southern Poverty Law Center. And whether or not there's the possibility to fold in some of those Department of Justice actors that Ken Cuccinelli was just referring to. Professor William Jacobson from Cornell has been tracking SPLC for 15 years. He joins us to discuss. 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The U.S. intercepts another Iran oil tanker. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Far away from the Strait of Hormuz, where the blockade remains in place around Iran's ports, the U.S. military seized the ship in the Indian Ocean. More than 30 vessels in all have been turned away or taken over in the blockade.
President Trump says there is no expiration to the ceasefire, telling our own Martha McCallum on the phone, quote, there is no time pressure on this, that the 3 to 5 day window reported earlier today is false. The blockade scares them even more than the bombing. They've been bombed for years, but the blockade, they hate.
That's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House, and he also details this from the Washington Post.
It could take 6 months to fully clear the Strait of Hormuz of mines deployed by the Iranian military, and any such operation is unlikely to be carried out until the U.S. war with Iran ends.
Now, Iran attacked 3 ships yesterday, took control of 2 of them, further disrupting all shipping in the Strait. There was a vote in the Senate at around 3 o'clock this morning to start the process of funding ICE and Border Patrol to get around a block by Democrats who demand immigration enforcement reform. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Democrats are going to hold Republicans' feet to the fire because the American people demand it. The American people are hurting right now because of the soaring cost of living.
The resolution Republicans approved goes to the House in a reconciliation process that'll lead to a Senate bill to fund ICE and Border Patrol. Money for the rest of Homeland Security was approved last month in the Senate, but not in the House yet. The day after a win for Democrats at the polls in Virginia, a win for Republicans in court blocking a congressional redistricting.
Virginia Circuit Court Judge Jack Hurley ruling Wednesday that all votes for or against the proposed amendment were unconstitutional, citing rules that impose certain requirements that the referendum did not meet. Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones immediately moving to challenge the decision, which also blocks the state from implementing the new districts.
That's Fox's Lillian Wu. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 55 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. We'll see partly cloudy skies today, reaching a high of about 78 degrees. The Illinois House has passed legislation to provide tax incentives for the Chicago Bears and other mega projects worth $100 million or more. Jim Talamonte reports.
State Rep Cam Buckner filed a new amendment on Wednesday and said language was removed that might have allowed cost shifting onto homeowners.
House Bill 910, as amended, is a statewide economic development toolbox.
Americans for Prosperity Illinois Deputy State Director Brian Costin said he would be scared if he were a business owner outside the megaproject district.
There's going to be some of the lowest property taxes in the nation assessed on properties inside the megaproject district, but outside the megaproject districts, we're going to see some of the highest property taxes in the nation already.
House Bill 910 passed by a vote of 78 to 32. The measure now goes to the Illinois Senate. I'm Chip Talamonte.
A Chicago man is receiving 20 years in prison for murdering a pregnant woman back in 2021. Robert Drummond was sentenced after he pled guilty. He was accused of the first-degree murder of Yariana Wheeler in August of 2021. Authorities say she was stabbed to death. And Mayor Brandon Johnson is celebrating the completion of Chicago's newest library solar project. Johnson says the new installation at the Tillman Library branch in the Little Village neighborhood enables the building to offset 43% of its electricity consumption with solar energy. This is the third library solar project to be completed by the city. The two other are located at the Humboldt Park and South Chicago branches. This report is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donley Auctions.
Hey Chicagoland, it's Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. If you recently inherited a property, you're likely navigating a lot right now. Loss, family decisions, and maybe some difficult conversations. And now there's a house to figure out. Here's what we've learned from helping hundreds of families since 2007. Every inherited home situation is different, and we're not here to judge. We're here to help. Our veteran-led team has seen it all. Houses that need major repairs, properties full of a lifetime of belongings, and families that just want a simple solution so they can move forward. Here's what you need to know. You don't need to repair anything or clear anything out. We'll give you a straightforward cash offer with no obligation, and you choose the closing timeline. Simple, respectful, straightforward. If you need guidance on your next steps with an inherited property, we are here for you. Call 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
Our founders believed that freedom wasn't just a word. It was a way of life. The freedom to move, the freedom to pursue what matters most, the freedom to live fully. But pain has a way of taking those freedoms from us. That's why Relief Factor exists. My pain had become so bad years ago that I couldn't paint, I couldn't work, I couldn't sleep. I was barely holding on. I was losing hope until my wife forced me to try Relief Factor. I didn't think it would work because it's 100% natural, drug-free, blah, blah, blah. But it absolutely broke the back of my pain. It might work for you. Over 1 million Americans have found relief and reclaimed parts of their life they thought were behind them. So this year, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom, ask yourself the simple question: are you living with the freedom you deserve? Relief Factor gives you the opportunity to live pain-free. Get your life back, the life you love. Try Relief Factor today. $19.95, 3-week quick start. Ready for you now. ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 16 in, 14 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. You've got 38 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 35. Very slow on the Ike inbound. 41 minutes from Wolf to the Old Post Office. 22 on the reverse side. 45 in, 32 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. And stop and go on the outbound Dan Ryan between 83rd Street and the Bishop Ford 57 split with that earlier police activity that is now cleared. So 23 minutes inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 12. Also stop and go on 57 inbound between 127th Street and the Bishop Ford Interchange due to that earlier police activity. And it's a slow ride on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive between Brymore Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home. You'll get a no-pressure sale, a product expert, a design consultant, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine, reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warm conditions with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will bring cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and slightly cooler temperatures with a chance of a few showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and this is how FBI Director Kash Patel characterized the indictments handed down against the Southern Poverty Law Center we've been discussing for now the last 2 days.
Money doesn't lie. The charity that supposedly fought the Klan funded the Klan. The charity that supposedly fought neo-Nazis funded neo-Nazis. The Southern Poverty Law Center ran a methodical, calculated scheme to defraud their donor base of $3 million and lied to them and used an illicit banking structure system to create shell companies to hide their money and who it was being sent to, specifically for the reason to sow discord and hate into our society. This is the ultimate definition of hypocrisy. And if you look at the indictment produced by the Department of Justice and the FBI, you will see that these banking institutions tie directly the funding mechanisms in which the Southern Poverty Law Center used to fund at least 8 hate groups they supposedly wanted to take out, but they were paying the very villains of our society they supposedly wanted to protect us from. That's the ultimate hypocrisy.
Yeah, I hope they keep digging, because $3 million worth of this illicit activity seems like a drop in the bucket compared to Southern Poverty Law Center's capacity. As I mentioned, it suggested that they have total assets north of $800 million. And the grift formula is simple. We mentioned this excellent piece from Eli Steele yesterday, and I posted it on X as a refresher. The grift formula is simple. You inflate the threat, sound the alarm, position yourself as the brave slayer of hate, and collect hundreds of millions from donors desperate to feel they are on the right side of history. The donor gets innocence, the corporation gets its ESG credential, the foundation gets its social justice bona fides, and the SPLC gets paid. The only losers in this, Eli Steele goes on to write, real black communities bear the cost of this bargain. Real black families and real cities, especially those in the underclass, live with the consequences of institutions more interested in the performance of anti-racism than in the far more difficult and unglamorous work of developing individuals into productive members of society. The SPLC raised hundreds of millions in the name of protecting the vulnerable. The real product here was donor innocence. Biting, but terribly incisive. And Not so long ago, there was some turmoil at SPLC. Ken Cuccinelli, we spoke with last hour, sort of referenced that. 7 years ago, SPLC co-founder Morris Dees was fired. 2 others in leadership were deposed as well because of vague accusations, at least in terms of what was disclosed to the public, of workplace harassment, lack of staff diversity. So, the identitarians came for the identitarians, that cannibalism that often happens. At the time, the Wall Street Journal opined, this is from March of 2019, 7 years ago, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which turned fighting hate into big business, is taking a long look in the mirror after they fired Morris Dees. And wait for it. Once these accusations arose, who did they hire? Tina Chen, the Chen guarding the Fox House in Chicago. Remember, Tina Chen was the intermediary between Michelle Obama and Kim Fox during the Jussie Smollett saga. The SPLC then hired Tina Chen, the former chief of staff for Michelle Obama, to conduct what the board chairman called a top-to-bottom external review of our workplace culture and our past practices and policies. And then the president of the organization followed Morris Dees out the door. Last month, the SPLC, this is from March of 2019 again. Last month, it breathlessly reported, SPLC, that thanks to Donald Trump, the number of hate groups operating across America rose to a record high of 1,020. But as the journal notes, they include, for example, the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a nonprofit law firm that won the Supreme Court case on behalf of Jack Phillips, the Colorado baker who didn't want to make a cake for a gay wedding, and so many other organizations that we've talked about before that are conservative organizations, pro-life organizations, pro-family organizations, and they have nothing to do with hating or identity politics or anything of the sort, but that's of little interest to SPLC. The journal's editorial 7 years ago concludes, warnings about a tidal wave of quote-unquote hate are what keep funds flowing into Poverty Palace, as some SPLC workers have called its headquarters. Poverty Palace. Its endowment is now $470 million. Donors should take this moment, if they haven't already, to find a better cause. Well, that message didn't get through to George Soros or George Clooney or some of the other donors to SPLC that have now been unearthed and maybe, as we talked about with Cuccinelli, seeking to have their donations reimbursed to protect their own image and political backside. Mm-hmm. For more on this, pleased to be joined again by Professor William Jacobson. In addition to being a clinical professor of law and the director of the securities law at Cornell Law School and the founder of LegalInsurrection.com and the president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, Professor Jacobson has been tracking SPLC's activities for the better part of the last 2 decades. Professor Jacobson, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
So the commentary on what the FBI and Department of Justice presented in terms of the indictments against the Southern Poverty Law Center, and whether or not you think that is just the tip of the iceberg with respect to what they could have legal exposure to based on what they were doing in this, with $3 million compared to their overall largesse, their ability to spend and to raise and spend tens of millions more than that on an annualized basis.
I think this has got to be just the tip of the iceberg, not just for SPLC, but for a lot of left-wing movements. I mean, if SPLC, according to the indictment, is funding one of the people organizing the Unite the Right rally, the famous Charlottesville Tiki Torch Nazi rally, do you think they're the only group doing that? Probably not. But focusing on them, the allegations in the indictment are very specific. They name names. Now, they use initials to protect people's identity. Some names are redacted. But they name names. It's very specific. It is not what the media is portraying. It's not what the crisis management team from SPLC is pushing out there, which is We've been indicted just because we pay informants. Everybody pays informants. That's not what it is. I encourage people to read the indictment. It is extremely detailed. Now, it's relatively limited in scope, as you indicate, $3,000, but
$3 million.
$3 million. But SPLC has been playing games, which may or may not have been criminal, but are pretty deceptive, as long as I've been following them. And the first post I ever wrote about them was in 2009. And what I discovered in 2010 and 2012, they seem to invent groups that don't exist. I remember on their hate map in 2010, they had a Klan group in Rhode Island. And I'm from Rhode Island, in a small state. I never heard of these. I couldn't find any evidence they existed. In 2012, they had a neo-Nazi group in Rhode Island. I'm saying, what? I've never heard of this. I actually called the state police hate crimes unit and said, SPLC says there's this group, neo-Nazi group in Rhode Island. They said, we don't know anything about it. And in fact, I think they looked into it and couldn't find any evidence. So this is an entity that, for their hate map, which is their primary fundraising tool, seemed to me, from what I could tell, to be creating groups that may have only been a blip on a website someplace and using it to fundraise. So this is a very deceptive group. But what the feds are now saying is that deceptive conduct crossed into criminality.
Right. No, and I mean, and this is the larger understanding of all of these leftist groups that are similarly directed, which is, look, if you're getting paid to find hate, you're going to find hate or you're going to invent it. And that's what we see playing out.
Yeah, and in fact, SPLC, the deception that I've written about, I think almost 50 times in the last 15 years, was very deep. They would also inflate their numbers. So if they found some group in some state someplace, and let's say that was legitimately should have been on their map, if that group on their website claims to have 30 chapters, even if they don't exist other than on their website, that would now be 31 hate groups. So in your clip, you played something about how they would dramatically announce the increase in hate groups in America. Well, yeah, because they were inflating the numbers. They were taking what might have only been a website someplace or line items on a website, and all of a sudden those are all hate groups. And I wrote about this and looked into it. This is an extremely deceptive organization, and it shouldn't be surprising because Morris Dees, the founder, he made his fortune in direct mail solicitations. That's what his business was. He's very good at soliciting people, very good at fundraising. This
pushing buttons.
Yeah, and I was a subject of that when I was young and naive in college in the late 70s. Somehow I got on their list. I'm not even sure how. And yeah, I threw them some money, little amounts. College kid, $20 here, $30 there, because I believed in what they claimed their mission was, which was to fight violent, racist groups. Okay, not to go after, Dr. Ben Carson and Rand Paul and Moms for Liberty and Alliance Defending Freedom and Family Research Council. That was not their mission in the late 70s and early 80s. But as the fundraising machine kicked in, they realized they could create the perception of hate in order to fundraise. And that's what their whole hate map was, creating an inflated perception of hate that they could then fundraise off of.
Well, I can understand some people being young and naive, but I don't think I'm going to buy that argument from Chris Wray, if that's the one he offers, in terms of at some point hopefully being asked to explain why the FBI partnered with SPLC under the Biden administration. And to me, that this is a big area that I would like Todd Blanche and Kash Patel to talk about. What exactly was done at DOJ, at FBI, in concert with SPLC? Why was it done? Is there accountability there? Was it, if SPLC was involved in criminal activity, were members of the FBI also involved, or Department of Justice also involved in criminal activity since they partnered up? I want more detail on that relationship, don't you?
Yeah, because SPLC was essentially a domestic political terrorist group in the sense that they terrorized people into silence. Landing on their list could be career ending, could be ending for your company. It wasn't just the FBI working with them. It was Amazon, it was PayPal, it was other companies. You could get kicked off these platforms if you landed on their list. We once had to switch the provider we use for our CRM platform, content client management, where you keep your emails and your stuff. And we went to a new company and we said, look, we don't want trouble. We're conservative. We want to make sure you're okay with that. They said, oh, that's okay. But if you, and they literally said to us, if you end up on the SPLC list, we will kick you out. That's really what it was. They could terrorize people with that list.
Well, this again is corporate America too, because they didn't put together $800 million of assets under management without support from corporate America, and so it wasn't just Soros and celebrities; it was big corporations too that have not exactly distinguished themselves over the last several years during some of these moral panics, whether Black Lives Matter or SPLC's hate maps or COVID or so many other instances.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect analogy of the fraud here, but I think it's a pretty good one. If you take your car in for a state inspection and they come back to you and say, oh, there's something broken here, you need to pay us to fix it. And they don't tell you they're the ones who broke it. And that's essentially what SPLC did. They created, allegedly, fictitious hate groups, supported them, fictitious, threats, and then fundraised off of it and did not disclose to the donors that, hey, we actually helped create this. Please help us put it out. It's like the arsonist is collecting money for putting out the fire.
Right. Yeah. Like mafia. The argument they make that you mentioned is that we were just using informants, and the response that Todd Blanche offered to that contention is, well, if they were so-called using informants to infiltrate these hate groups, why was it self-contained? Why weren't they, especially when they have a partnership with the FBI, why weren't they then informing law enforcement about what they were finding? And there's no evidence that there was any communication of that sort. So it seems to me if they want to offer that defense, there's going to have to be evidence to connect those dots. And if there's no evidence, as Blanche suggested, then they really don't have much of a defense for the fraud they're alleged to have committed.
Yeah, and there's other allegations in the indictments, which are, again, very specific about how the banks they were dealing with, because they created all these shell groups, fictitious accounts, weird money transfers, and the banks, according to the indictment, actually inquired. Whatever their systems were, flagged this as a potential problem. I mean, banks have these softwares built into their system to flag potential money laundering, things like that. And then they allegedly lied to the banks. That's part of the criminal charges against them.
Bank fraud, yeah.
And so bank fraud. So this is not just, oh, we paid informants. Yeah, everybody pays informants, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it is. But that's what their crisis management team has decided to go with, and that's what the media is running with. Yeah. And they're trying to portray it as a big nothing burger.
Yeah, and by the way, I like, in addition to Chris Wray, maybe Comey, I don't know how deep this goes or how far back it goes, but boy, I'd like people to be pressed on these relationships. I mean, you couldn't be so Pollyannish as to not know the racket that SPLC was running. And if you didn't know, then I don't know how the hell you're the director of the FBI, or we're supposed to have confidence in those agencies, even now, frankly. But in addition to that, Tina Chen, right? Michelle Obama's former chief of staff comes in 2019 to give the top to bottom review after these allegations. What did Tina Chen know? What did all of these potentates on the left know about this behemoth organization that was doing their political bidding under the fraudulent guise of combating hate? This seems to me something that conservatives can't just let lie. It has to be used as a way to, as you said at the outset, to look at other leftist organizations running the same grift, as well as to hold people who were involved with SPLC running cover for SPLC, partnering with SPLC to account.
Yeah, I mean, if a little solo blogger like me in 2009 was calling them out for the scam they were running, the FBI couldn't figure that out.
Right.
Nobody else could figure that out. I mean, it was just so plainly obvious. It took me to look into the fake Klan and neo-Nazi groups in Rhode Island who were on their list to call them out on it. But apparently the FBI and all these big companies that work with them couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, you know what? It's like you were like the Nick Shirley of the SPLC. All you did was make a couple calls, show up, and say, "Is this thing real?" And you found out it wasn't, and then the whole thing blows up. None of this is real. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, there is obviously racism in, racist groups. I mean, we're not saying those don't exist. But how about you actually focus on the real ones rather than creating ones who don't exist?
That seems fair. That seems a reasonable position. Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell, founder of LegalInsurrection.com and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation as well. Professor Jacobson, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me on again.
And Professor Jacobson joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They'll take care of your pain and get you on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, you're a great candidate for QC Kinetics' pain relief. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you otherwise love to do? Are you taking painkillers? If you answered yes to one or more of those questions, then today could be your day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy. They're done in the office. Consultations are free. And I've seen the results, which is why I can personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those who love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have a lot of questions. How do you make your savings last? How much should you take out and when? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? I'm Edward Jones financial advisor, Nolan Webster. Let's work together to make sure your finances meet your unique needs over the long haul. You've done what it takes to get there. Now it's time to make the most of retirement. Call me at 224-801-6107 to schedule an appointment. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard and cameras cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE Digital.com. Or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, RFK Jr. had a rough time on the Hill this week. Keller Reed from Democrat Socialists on his left and further on his left. We'll do a Maha check-in at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 55 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago public school teacher is being accused of beating and choking a 12-year-old student inside a Southside classroom, making her at least the sixth CPS employee charged this school year with physically or sexually assaulting a student. CWB Chicago reports that 37-year-old Elaine Pierce Collins is facing felony counts of aggravated battery of a child causing great bodily harm and aggravated battery of a child by strangulation causing great bodily harm. The allegations stem from an incident that happened back in December at Pershing Magnet School. One person is dead and 3 others injured following a mass shooting event in the Little Village neighborhood. Police say that shooting happened just before 4:30 yesterday afternoon. According to reports, 1 man and 3 women were standing near the sidewalk when they were shot by an unknown person. The male victim received multiple gunshot wounds. He later died at a local hospital. News is a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's a calling. Family-owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship that you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. That's SteinerHomesLTD.com. Northwest Indiana's leading home builder, Steiner Homes. Love where you live. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
The outrage and the reason we were so upset is because they sent us a bill that literally put the number 0 in the bill for the funding of border security and customs and immigration enforcement. We can't do that.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only 2 good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
There's a new kind of energy at Starbucks. Try the all-new Energy Refreshers. Strawberry Acai, Mango Dragon Fruit, or the all-new Mango Strawberry. New Energy Refreshers. Only at Starbucks.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 18 minutes both ways on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, but 49 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, slammed on the outbound side at 53 minutes. The Ike is 41 in, 30 out from Wolf to the Post Office. Watch out for a crash on the Stevenson inbound at Cicero Avenue. We're looking at 52 minutes from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 33, 25 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Jam-packed northbound Lakeshore Drive between Brymore Avenue and Hollywood Avenue, and your stop and go on the Jane Addams eastbound between Meacham Road and Route 53. This report is a service of Compassion International. Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year, and their wait. Sponsor a child with Compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warmth with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will be cloudy, breezy, and not as warm with a chance of a couple of showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and RFK Jr., he's the HHS secretary, responsible in pertinent part for MAHA, Making America Healthy Again, and he spent a lot of time on the Hill in committee hearings this week, getting pilloried by the neo-Marxist talking points. One of them on measles, that this persists too. This is something they basically tacked on to RFK Jr. several months ago to the measles outbreak. It's because of his opposition to the measles vaccine and changing the childhood vaccination schedule. And this is what happens, this outbreak that occurred, this spike in cases, and this is why he's dangerous and should resign or be fired. And cats and dogs are living together and so on and so forth. So they just continue. Once they have labeled you with something, even after it's been debunked, they will continue to try to attach that label. And so that's what happened first in the House and then in the Senate, this House Energy and Commerce Committee hearing.
Thank you for that question, Madam Chairman. And this has become a talking point for Democrats that somehow I caused the measles epidemic. The measles epidemic started in January 2025, before I came into office. Mm-hmm. And most of the people, almost most of the people who are affected are over 5 years old, meaning their decision to not vaccinate predated my appointment to this office. We had about 2,200 measles cases last year. We've had 1,700 this year. This is not unique to the United States. This is a global outbreak. Mexico had 3 times the number of measles cases that we did. We've done better than any country in the world at controlling the epidemic. Mexico has 3 times the number, and it has 1/3 of our population. Canada has twice the number, and it has 1/8 of our population. Europe had 33,000 cases last year and 127,000 the year before, and they have 1/2 of our population. So the problem is not me. There are people in this country who do not vaccinate. The major outbreak was in the Mennonite population. The Mennonites have not vaccinated since 1796. That was long before I was born. I haven't been to these countries recently where the outbreaks have occurred. I will tell you one story. There were 2 little girls who died from measles during in the Mennonite population. I went to the funeral service for one. I spent a day with the family of the other. Both of them said that when they showed up at the hospital, they were not offered real treatment. They were instead treated as pariah. They were shamed. They were isolated. And both of them believed that if their children had been properly treated, they would have lived. Their children had comorbidities. Their own doctors, their personal doctors, believed that children could have been saved. There's no child who should die in this country of measles. No. One of the things I've done since coming into office is to make sure that for people who do get measles, that they're treated decently, they're treated with compassion, and they're given the kind of treatments that exist that are given by other countries but are refused in this country because of the bias toward a vaccination-only policy. We need to treat people who get sick, no matter what. They all should be treated with compassion.
Sounds reasonable again, but this is where you run into ideologues, and boy, is there anything more dangerous than an ideologue in medicine? I think we saw that play out during COVID, didn't we? 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. So then he moves over to the Senate, and he gets into a back and forth with the charismatic, I hope you picked up the sarcasm, Michael Bennet, senator from Colorado. He's about as exciting as an oil painting, but he got RFK Jr. a bit excited because he made the same accusation that RFK Jr. is somehow ideologically opposed to vaccinations, and specifically the measles vaccination, and thus he's responsible for that spike that he was referencing.
Do you realize that last year the United States had the highest number of measles cases in 30 years? That the last time we had more than that was before
the whole world did.
Measles.
The whole world did.
Yeah, we were the leader, Mr. Kennedy.
We still are. We have a 92% vaccination rate. We have one of the highest vaccination rates for measles on earth.
So are you taking the position, let me ask you, are you taking the position as your CDC director has taken that the measles vaccine is vital to keeping American children healthy in this country? Are you taking that position today? That has not been your position.
That's my position. We promote the measles vaccine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That will be, I hope you will go out to America and promote this. The idea that you have nothing to do with this.
The measles vaccine prevents measles in 97% of the people who take it. I've always said that. That's what the science says.
I would ask you to please underscore it, because there's a reason that we are having these outbreaks, Mr. Chairman, and that is the misinformation that's been propagated. If you would have a change of view, that's excellent. Let's get it out there to the Americans. Senator Lake.
Uh-huh. And it actually got even more silly than that, especially on the Senate side. This is one of my favorites. Ralph Warnock, incredibly, the senator, one of the, I think senior, right? Wasn't he before Ossoff? Senior senator from Georgia? Wow. Shocking. That's a real failure of the Trump years to not win that seat, to not protect that seat and then not to win it back. Ralph Warnock Forget about accusing RFK Jr. of a measles outbreak. RFK Jr. also responsible for the prospect of a rabies outbreak.
Gutting the very offices that keep American families safe from disturbing and deadly infectious diseases.
Senator,
sir, hold on, sir.
Senator, there's 1 to 3 rabies cases a year in the United States. I think one person manning that office full time probably can handle that traffic. In terms of prion disease, it's very, very rare.
Fighting over the number of personnel in HHS devoted to case management of rabies, the 1 to 3 rabies cases that occur annually in America. We should really have a caseworker for each case. The seriousness of these people. Jim in Crown Point, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes. I didn't give my kids any immunization. When I was young, we would find out who had the measles and mumps and chickenpox, and we'd expose my kids to it. I was exposed to them. We had natural immunity. These people are unbelievable.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Well, I mean, yeah, I get the variolation argument. We talked a lot about that during natural immunity, talked a lot about that during COVID, of course. But I will go back to what RFK Jr. said, though, too, that the measles vaccine prevents measles in 97% of the cases. So I'm not reflexively anti-vax at all. And I think there was some legitimate criticism of some of the things RFK Jr. has said in the past, but the point here is that as HHS secretary, I think it would be difficult to find evidence that he has acted ideologically. I think he is acting consistent with just what he said when he was talking about the measles vaccine, what we understand the science to be in consultation with actual medical and infectious disease experts that are in the federal government's employ, consistent with the administration's priorities in consultation and in concert with medical doctors like Makary at FDA and Bhattacharya at NIH. That's the larger point here. Grant in Rockford.
Good morning, Dan. Great show. I would like, I know RFK Jr. is not really a firebrand or anything, but somebody needs to say, when you import to third world, you get third world diseases and like TB, like the guy who killed Sheridan Gorman, or these measles outbreaks. How can he not make the correlation?
Thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Grant. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one population demographic that the left is not concerned about their vaccination status on the schedule. Just like they weren't during COVID. I'll fold one more in because, I mean, Ron Wyden, who, by the way, is a dead ringer for Super Dave Osborne. May he rest in peace, Super Dave. Ron Wyden from Oregon, who, just in terms of his presentation, seems like he's been in the Senate for hundreds of years, pressed RFK on a case that was reported of a young girl being sexually abused in a foster care facility that is under the management of HHS. And, of course, any such instance is a problem, and there needs to be accountability, and I'm sure that these empires that have been built under these agencies could be operated more efficiently, no matter who is that. You could have Jack Welch, get Peter Drucker run these agencies, and you can't make them work because they're just too big and unwieldy and sclerotic, and incentives are misaligned, and you can't just wave a wand or impose your will as a secretary. That's why we're always promoting shrinking government, shrinking the footprint, doing less things. We're not keep growing the government and we're going to bring in the people that are the great executives to make it all work. It's not going to work. You can't make it work. You can't make CPS work, not the way it's organized. You have to rethink how these things are set up. System change. And I say that because, so this is an issue. It's fine to bring it up. Is it indicative of a larger systemic problem in federally funded foster care facilities and so forth? Fair questions. That's fine. But what's not fine is what Ron Wyden did. And RFK Jr. was right to call him out. The posture that these neo-Marxists are taking, where they cherry pick a case to say, what are you doing about this problem, or if it is even a problem within this system, when they are completely uninterested in anecdotal or systemic even problems in these same systems when they're in charge. In fact, they align incentives to ensure the exploitation of children, a la open borders, for example.
That a 3-year-old girl was sexually abused in a foster home at an agency that you oversee. Are you familiar with this?
No, I am not.
You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and it's in a national publication, and you didn't know that a 3-year-old girl was being sexually abused on your watch?
I can tell you there were tens of thousands of girls and boys who were sexually abused. The Biden administration lost 425,000 children, and you never complained.
Whose job is it to inform you of something like this? Because this, to me, is an unconscionable case.
Yeah, but why weren't you worried when he lost 425,000 children? Why are you suddenly worried?
I read this in the
Why
newspaper.
are you suddenly worried about sexual abuse of children now and trafficking when it was mass promoted under the Biden administration, where they gave 425,000 children to adults without identification?
I'm asking the questions here, and this was in a national publication seen by millions of people, an unconscionable example of mistreatment of a 3-year-old, and you don't know anything about it.
This is selective indignation.
I'm just going to say.
It's very dishonest, Senator.
We have been working on this for years.
Why don't you help us find those children who are lost, still lost? We found 138,000.
We're working on this right now, and we'll have additional opportunities to talk to you.
Yeah, you're working diligently on it, aren't you, Senator? Steve in Downers Grove.
Yeah,
Hey,
Dan,
Steve.
I'm an old guy. First hospital job in the 70s. Still working in healthcare. I'm 77. Retired from Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Rush University Medical Center. And, this story just has no meaning at all. We have the best healthcare system in the world. And I'm tired of people not recognizing that and arguing, talking in favor of that. In Chicago alone, we have 5 prestigious medical schools: Northwestern, University of Chicago, University of Illinois, Loyola, and Rush. You can get the best care in the world in this community. And that's if you're poor and black. What these people need to do is start to focus on, how about the executive from Loretto Hospital that fled to Africa and is now coming back because of corruption? How about the failure of West Suburban Medical Center and that jackass who ran that place into the ground? So they're talking about the wrong thing. I'd like to see Senator Kennedy, not Senator Kennedy, but the Secretary arm wrestle this weak-ass Senator Wyden and just put him down. Thanks, Dan. That's all I have to say.
We could have a pull-up contest. I know who'd win that. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, business owners, is your business and money in good hands? Does your bank invest in your success? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that when you need a relationship bank, Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. I love these guys. Not only do they have expansive industry experience, a strong financial track record, but they're also highly capitalized for strategic growth. That's so important. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. They know what it means to grow a business by designing solutions that are right for you and only you. These are real people. They're ready to help. So reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Make the call today, 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Go online, signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They will take care of your pain and let you go right on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, then you're a great candidate. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you love? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be the day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy, done in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results in person myself, and I personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those that love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. That number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, the open-ended extension of the ceasefire with Iran has been closed 3 to 5 days. We'll get a handle on what's happening in the Strait and what's happening, if anything, with negotiations. KT McFarland, former First Deputy National Security Advisor to Trump, joins us at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock at AM 560.
Another Iranian oil tanker seized. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and like the one the other day, it's far from the Strait of Hormuz, where the U.S. military has a blockade on Iran's ports, turning away more than 30 ships.
The Department of War has released footage showing American troops on the deck of the sanctioned oil tanker Majestic X. It was interdicted in the Indian Ocean between Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Interdiction means the vessel was intercepted on suspicion of being hostile or in violation of the law. The Pentagon says it will continue to act against what it calls illicit networks Turks, providing support to Iran.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump just posted on Truth Social minutes ago he's ordered the Navy to shoot and kill any boat putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz. The day after Iran attacked 3 ships, seizing 2 as shipping remains disrupted in the region. There was a vote at the Capitol around 3 o'clock this morning.
Senate Republicans showed the American people where they stand.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer not happy a budget resolution passed, starting a process to fund ICE and Border Patrol that Democrats can no longer block as they demand immigration enforcement reform.
Pumping $140 billion towards rogue agencies.
The blueprint the House has to approve starts a reconciliation process that'll lead to a Senate bill to fund Border Patrol and ICE 3 years. Funding for the rest of Homeland Security was approved last month in the Senate, but not in the House yet. There's a change involving cannabis. It's not being legalized federally, but there's a reclassification this morning.
Medical marijuana gets shifted into a less dangerous category by the government. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche signing an order reclassifying state-licensed medical marijuana, shifting it from Schedule 1, which is reserved for drugs without medical use and with high potential for abuse, to the less strictly regulated Schedule 3.
Fox's Lillian Wu will win in court for Republicans in Virginia the day after voters approved congressional redistricting to help Democrats. A judge blocks it. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 59 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keen in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A measure giving Illinois voters the opportunity to consider a millionaire's tax is one step closer to the November ballot. Jim Talamonte reports.
The proposal for a state constitutional amendment would raise the tax rate on income more than $1 million from 4.95% to 7.95%. State Rep LaShawn Ford argued in favor of his resolution.
This will make Illinois schools better. It'll make Illinois stronger by making sure that we can invest in our schools and provide property tax relief to families.
Half the revenue collected from the millionaire's tax would be used for property tax relief. The other half would go to public school districts. Taxpayers Federation of Illinois President Maurice Schulten said he does not oppose a graduated income tax, but he does oppose having a dollar amount in the state constitution.
More and more taxpayers will be hit by that.
The parents of a Loyola University student who was gunned down last month are speaking out publicly for the first time. Sheridan Gorman was shot and killed March 19th while she was walking with friends along Lake Michigan. Her parents say the crime was a preventable murder. They're also demanding accountability for why the suspect, an undocumented immigrant, was in the U.S. and on the streets despite a previous arrest. Jose Medina is charged with murder and illegal possession of a firearm. He's scheduled to be arraigned next week. And a former Chicago medical supply company owner who fled the country is back in the U.S. to face charges of defrauding Loretto Hospital. Samir Suhail was indicted in 2024 before he took off for Dubai. He's accused of serving as a front for millions of dollars in phony payments by the medical facility for invoices that were never fulfilled. News is a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's a calling. Family owned and dedicated to building custom homes with the care, integrity, and craftsmanship that you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. That's SteinerHomesLTD.com. Northwest Indiana's leading home builder. Steiner Homes, love where you live. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
American Express is reporting higher earnings. The stock's up 1%. Card members continued to spend more in the quarter. American Airlines shares are higher. Its quarter topped expectations, and despite higher fuel prices, it still expects a modest profit this year. Comcast also reported an upbeat quarter. Its stock is up more than 2%. Home builder Pulte Group is reporting a lower profit for the recent quarter, though new orders increased 3%. It says the stagnant housing market forced it to offer elevated sales incentives. Honeywell's profit declined in the period. It's in the process of restructuring. Travelzoo, the travel deals company, reported an upbeat quarter, and that stock is rallying. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlow, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for His protection, His comfort, and His peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
Our founders believed that freedom wasn't just a word. It was a way of life. The freedom to move, the freedom to pursue what matters most, the freedom to live fully. But pain has a way of taking those freedoms from us. That's why Relief Factor exists. My pain had become so bad years ago that I couldn't paint, I couldn't work, I couldn't sleep. I was barely holding on. I was losing hope until my wife forced me to try Relief Factor. I didn't think it would work because it's 100% natural, drug-free, blah, blah, blah. But it absolutely broke the back of my pain. It might work for you. Over 1 million Americans have found relief and reclaimed parts of their life they thought were behind them. So this year, as we celebrate 250 years of freedom, ask yourself the simple question: are you living with the freedom you deserve? Relief Factor gives you the opportunity to live pain-free. Get your life back, the life you love. Try Relief Factor today. $19.95, 3-week quick start. Ready for you now. ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 18 minutes inbound on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, getting busy outbound. It's 27 minutes. Watch out for a stall on the inbound Kennedy. It's on the exit ramp for Kimball Avenue. We are looking at 55 minutes from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, jammed on the outbound side at 1 hour. We're stop and go inbound in the express lanes as well, between the Edens and Ohio Street. 49 in, 35 out on the Ike from Wolf to the old post office, and you also have a collision on the outbound Ike at Mill Road. The Stevenson is 57 minutes inbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, 38 on the reverse side, and it looks like a car and a semi-truck collided on the inbound Dan Ryan at 67th Street. The right lane is blocked, so it's 37 minutes from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 11. Real slow in the express lanes between 59th Street and 31st Street, and jam-packed northbound Lakeshore Drive between Vermont Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of the Daily Podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the Daily Podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine, reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warm conditions with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will bring cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and slightly cooler temperatures with a chance of a few showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So on the ceasefire extension that was open-ended at first at the behest of the Pakistanis and then curtailed, reportedly, to more like 3 to 5 days. If I were the Iranians, I'd think 3 to 5 days meant 1 to 2 days. But anyway, Caroline Levitt had this to say about it.
Let's level set on where we are. As you all saw yesterday, President Trump announced an extension of the ceasefire. He's maintaining and generously offering a bit of flexibility to a regime who has been completely tarnished because of Operation Epic Fury. There's obviously a lot of internal division. This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response. And so as we await that response, there's a ceasefire with the military and kinetic strikes, but Operation Economic Fury continues, and the effective and successful naval blockade continues as well of ships and vessels that are moving to and from Iranian ports. We are completely strangling their economy through this blockade. They're losing $500 million a day. The Karg Island is completely full. They can't move oil in and out. They can't even pay their own people as a result of this economic leverage that President Trump has inflicted over them. So he's satisfied with that as we await their response. And we will see. The president has not set a firm deadline to receive an Iranian proposal, unlike some of the reporting I've seen today. Ultimately, the timeline will be dictated by the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States.
For more on this, KT McFarland joins us, former First Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, also the author of the bestseller Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, and I would completely agree with you. I think the 3 to 5 day is more like 1 to 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm. What Caroline rather said, this is, we're waiting to see because there's a push and pull, a tug of war going on internally in the regime between the pragmatists and the hardliners. There are pragmatists involved in this?
Well, I think, look, there are no moderates in Iran. We've been looking for them for 47 years. I think it's crazy and crazier. So who are we negotiating with and who has the power? There's sort of three, as far as I can tell, there are three centers. One is the foreign minister, and he seems the most willing to make a deal. And then there's the Speaker of their parliament, who's sort of in the middle. And then there's the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard, who want no deal, no time, anytime, and want to play and do what Iran is very good at doing, which is to string these negotiations out. And, they'll have an agreement, and then they'll renegotiate the agreement, and then they'll break the agreement, and then they'll want to pause, and then they'll delay, and then let's have another meeting in a couple of weeks. And it's, wash, rinse, repeat. And I don't think President Trump is going to fall for this.
And they also, offered a modest concession. I mean, it's an important one for now. Obviously, we don't want to see these protesters get executed that were scheduled for execution. So it's good that they gave them a reprieve, obviously. But the idea that is some, real olive branch, or that represents some genuine interest in striking the deal, or frankly signing on to the deal that has been given to them as an ultimatum, that seems unlikely, right?
Yeah, I think that the Revolutionary Guard, the Revolutionary Guard is not just like a military. It's half of the Iranian economy. They were originally, 47 years ago, instituted. This is not the regular Iranian army. They've been actually left pretty much untouched by the attacks. But the Revolutionary Guard was originally to promote the revolution, protect the revolution. But over the decades, they've become like a corrupt mafia running Iran. They own 50% of the Iranian economy, something like 80% of the Iranian energy industry. And so these are people who may not have the revolutionary zeal that some of the mullahs do, but they don't want to give up their power. And I think that's why they're willing to bring the whole world to a halt so that they can have their power and they can have their nuclear program. And the only thing I would say is, whether you like where we are or not, whether you thought it was a good idea for President Trump to do what he did, we are where we are. And this should be a proof to anybody who is going to, just sort of, ho-hum away Iran as a nuclear weapons state. Look what they're willing to do with the oil and the Strait of Hormuz. Can you imagine if they had the blackmail capabilities of nuclear weapons?
Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't have sitting senators cheerleading the erroneous report, it turned out, of Iranian vessels evading the naval blockade of the Strait, like Senator Chris Murphy did.
Correct, and the blockade is holding. What he's done is he's taken Iranian. So the IRGC puts out talking points, and he's taking his talking points from the Revolutionary Guard, the pro-nuclear weapons guys in Iran.
Right. Yeah. Right. No. That's where that party is right now. That sort of sums it up. The options that Trump has. I mean, what's you know him, and what's his calculus now when it comes to resuming the bombings, any sort of contemplation of special forces to retrieve the enriched uranium? What is he thinking, do you think?
Well, he's got all the options he needs. We have twice as much firepower as we did even a month ago now, with a new third carrier strike group in the region. And there are several options he could do. He could flatten, literally within a few hours' time, could destroy the entire island of Karg Island. And that's where all of their oil goes into ships. He could take military. I don't think he's not the guy who wants to have an occupation or a full-time military invasion. You could see, under certain circumstances, maybe an international group going in to look for the, quote, nuclear dust if the Iranian regime doesn't cooperate. But I can't see how the Iranian regime continues much more than 2 weeks without complete collapse. And here's why. They're losing $500 million a day in revenue. So it's money that's coming in. The consumer goods that are being shipped into Iran, they're not happening. So inflation is occurring, high inflation, rapid inflation in Iran. And then all the money that Iran makes from putting oil out into the world and selling it as an exported commodity, that's not happening. So they're losing billions of dollars a week, which they don't have. So they're soon going to run out of money to pay their military, for example. And then the reason the clock ticks, even if they were willing to put up with the pain for another couple of weeks, the way the oil moves is it comes out of the ground in a well, and then it goes into a pipeline, and the pipeline goes to Karg Island, where it gets emptied into empty oil tankers, and then those tankers get filled, and then they leave on their merry way. Once you turn that off, once there are no empty tankers for the pipeline to empty into, the whole system starts backing up. And it's got about 2 weeks, now maybe 10 days of slack time in it, at which point it backs up and it floods the pipeline, it floods the wells. They could turn off the wells, but to do so is an enormous damage to the wells. If they lose that Karg Island capability, then it'll take them 10 years to rebuild, and they'll have no income coming into the country to pay for the rebuilding after the war.
And there's little chance of them getting any surreptitious support from, for example, the Chinese communists, as we saw because of the blockade, as we saw with that ship that was seized by the Navy, and we find these materials on the ship that go into ballistic missiles. So maybe, as President Trump said, maybe she was not exactly being straight with me in our correspondence, but that's the way it goes in war. But clearly, so that's discovered. So that probably discourages significant support, and thus no outside help is coming for the Iranians, or can, frankly.
Yeah. No, they're isolated. No Russian help, no Chinese help. And in fact, probably the opposite is happening. The Chinese are probably telling Iran, remember, China buys about 80% of Iran's oil exports. They're probably telling Iran, look, settle this thing. Our economy is at risk. The Chinese economy is at risk. We're going to have to shut down our factories. And we don't really care, Iran, about your nuclear weapons. We care about your cheap oil. So get it going again. So I think just the opposite. They're not only not receiving any help from their erstwhile allies, Russia and China, but they're probably getting an enormous amount of pressure to settle this quickly.
So that when Trump extended the ceasefire rather than impose the threatened bombings, he said he was doing it, at the behest of the Pakistanis to be a good faith actor. But maybe he was doing it not because of that, but because he believes what you believe, which is between the impact already of the military campaign combined with sort of economic fury and the blockade. This is a regime, whatever the composition is, that can't last very much longer. So rather than make the transition that much more difficult by knocking out more infrastructure, let them fall under their own weight in a couple of weeks.
That seems more like a President Trump move, using economic warfare as opposed to military warfare. He knows, and particularly if you listen to Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, the kind of things he's been saying in the last 2 or 3 days, it looks like that's what they want to do. They want to have the Iranian economy collapse of its own weight, rather than having to do a lot of destruction on where we take military action to destroy things. Really, Iran will just it'll be implode. It'll implode on itself. And maybe that's not even enough. Maybe at that point the IRGC says, we don't really care. We've got the guns. We'll just kill everybody. But at a certain point, 93 million Iranians are going to say enough is enough.
That's the gamble they're making. Interesting, or possibly making. And with respect to regime change, even though I know it's not on the must-have list, but certainly that's a desired outcome. Do we have? I mean, this is the question everybody's wrestling with, but do we have any more indication of where any sort of organized opposition or the prospect of organized opposition could come from that would actually intervene if there was a faltering, if there was a collapse, if there was even a more chaotic internal dynamic than is being suggested now?
We can make some guesses about where it would come from. There are various ethnic groups. There's, as I mentioned, the Iranian army, the professional Iranian army, which predates the revolution. They've been left more or less intact. But I'm assuming, and knowing the president, knowing how he operates, and certainly knowing what we've seen demonstrated by the Israeli intelligence services, they know who's there, and they know who they can work with. And I don't think anybody should be broadcasting who those people are. Let it all happen behind closed doors. And then otherwise, those people, anyone who looks like they would rise up to challenge the IRGC right now would be gunned down. As President Trump said, and others in the administration have said, don't come out now. Stay inside your houses. Let this play out.
Yeah, another indication that the gamble you suggested is the one that they're taking. And I assume, too, thinking about power plants and bridges, you don't want to cut people off from electricity. You don't want to turn the lights out because that creates potential refugee issues. Yeah. The civilian, these structures open the possibility of collateral damage, civilian casualties, and that could be a bad look, right? I mean, these are the concerns.
I would think so, because the countries around Iran are working with us. And if you had said Dan, 3 years ago, you're going to have a coalition of the United States, Israel, and the Gulf Arabs, you would have been laughed off the phone. Nobody would have believed that the Arabs would be working with the Israelis, but that's exactly what's happened. And they've got the allies of Israel, now, the Gulf Arabs, Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, et cetera, they would be at risk of refugee problems. But remember, their oil is not getting out of the Gulf either, not because of the United States. We would happily let ships go to Saudi Arabia or to Iran, Oman, and come back out. It's the Iranians who are stopping that shipment out.
And I mean, what do you think in terms of the prospect that if they do, basically lash themselves to the masts, whatever constitutes this regime, and they have enough drones and speedboats to engage in acts of piracy, and impose a cost if there was any sort of special forces incursion to try to get enriched uranium or so forth? I mean, does that ultimately limit Trump's options, or does he would you suggest just continue to play the long game, even with the caterwauling chattering classes here, both the left and some on the right, play the long game because this is the best prospect for the best outcome and a fulfillment of the demands that he has imposed?
And remember, to stop now is to say to Iran, okay, you can have control over the Strait of Hormuz, you can charge tolls, you can open and shut it at your whim or will. Okay, Iran, you can have nuclear weapons, which you will use to blackmail the world, if not actually use them on people and countries. So I think you just can't stop now. I can't predict how this all plays out. And that, I think, is one of the reasons President Trump has so many options. Military options, economic options at hand. He hasn't worked his way down the whole target list. As you said, we could destroy the electric grid. We could destroy a lot of stuff in Iran, the civilian infrastructure, which we have not done. So he's got a lot of options and a lot of escalatory options he could take. But I think that this is going to be a really scary couple of weeks where it's going to be, are the negotiations on? Are they off? Are the Iranians seizing some vessels? Are they not? Is anybody firing on it? But at the end, I think President Trump will prevail, and the world will be a much better and safer place. The Middle East will be a better and safer place. The world economies will thrive, and the Iranian people themselves can have a bright future, which they do not now have.
And the Strait of Hormuz, you see, ultimately, in terms of stability there, will be some sort of coalition management of Gulf states with America's backing?
Yeah, I don't think the United States is going to be the escort officer of every vessel that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Once it's cleared, then I would assume, and the other countries in the region have also said that they would accompany and help keep the strait open. I don't think we can count on our erstwhile European allies to do much of anything, even though they're the major beneficiaries of an open Strait of Hormuz. But I think they're in the talk mode and not the do mode.
KT McFarland, former First Deputy National Security Advisor, President Trump, author of the bestseller Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thank you as always. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Dan.
And KT joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Only a few short months ago, you heard silver was up 40%. Well, silver is now up over 260%. Fox Valley Coins saw it coming, and they're ready to help. Unlike dealers that only buy or only sell, Fox Valley Coins does both. No middleman. That means you get the best deal on the dollar. Selling? Fox Valley Coins pays top dollar for rare coins, scrap gold and silver, bars, proof sets, and entire collections of any size, going through every item right in front of you, cash, check, or wire transfer. Buying? Fox Valley Coins carries all major gold, silver, and platinum physical products. Complete discretion. Your business stays your business. Fox Valley Coins, family-owned integrity since 1981 on Route 59, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins. Buy smart, sell smart.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
I remember sitting in the kitchen, heartbroken, overwhelmed, staring at costs and a list of decisions. I prayed for strength and reached out to Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, only to hear that Mom had already pre-planned everything so my siblings and I would be protected. Because she planned ahead, we weren't pulled apart by heartbreaking decisions.
Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5407 to schedule a free consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Prop coming up at 8:38 is America in the Dark, if I may. A little Billy Squier reference. When it comes to our grand strategy, we'll talk to Jason Smith, professional of national security strategy at the National War College, about the blockade and the minesweeping, but also about America's grand strategy geopolitically. That's at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 58 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Illinois House has passed legislation to provide tax incentives for the Chicago Bears and other mega projects worth $100 million or more. Jim Talamonte reports.
State Rep Cam Buckner filed a new amendment on Wednesday and said language was removed that might have allowed cost shifting out to homeowners.
House Bill 910, as amended, is a statewide economic development toolbox.
House Bill 910 passed by a vote of 78 to 32. The measure now goes to the Illinois Senate. I'm Jim Talamonte.
The Chicago Transit Authority leaders say safety remains a priority after recently laying off 159 unarmed security guards. Interim CTA President Nora Learson says they're redirecting the funds saved to expand their security resources. News is a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's a calling. Family owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship that you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com. That's SteinerHomesLTD.com. Steiner.com. Northwest Indiana's leading home builder, Steiner Homes. Love where you live. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder is multi-talented.
In California, Orange County man has pled guilty to submitting nearly $270 million in bogus claims to Medi-Cal. Ain't no fraud like West Coast fraud, because West Coast fraud don't stop. Don't stop. You know, Mr. McConnell, maybe I should have gone on a career of rapping instead of talk radio. I have so much talent. I had more soul than I could control.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know I don't push products I don't believe in, so listen up, because this one I love and recommend to friends and listeners. It's Virago Liquid Immune Support. Now, I spoke with Dr. Hubert, the creator of Virago, and let me tell you, this man knows immune health like nobody's business. He explained to me the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights back against viruses, disease, inflammation, all of it. That's why he created Virago. It's a liquid immune boosting supplement packed with 23 powerful nutraceuticals working together in synergy. It's antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix Virago in my smoothies. I feel the difference, and you will too. So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com, and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
What's the password? Is this Vito's Vault, where I can get a 5-star dinner and signature cocktails, see an amazing vaudeville-style musical comedy show with the gangsters and the flappers, all for one low price? Yeah? What's the password? I don't know, but I'm here to make a deposit. Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in.
Vito's Vault, Chicago's new Roaring 20s dinner theater speakeasy. For tickets, go to vitosvault.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jammed on the southbound Tri-State at 95th Street with a crash taking down 2 right lanes. And then on the northbound side, there's another accident in the right lane just before International Parkway. The Dan Ryan is jammed from 95th to Burn Interchange 37 minutes. The express lanes stop and go inbound between 59th Street and 31st Street. And it is a slow go northbound Lakeshore Drive between Brewmore Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. About an hour both ways on the Kennedy between O'Hare and the Burn Interchange. The express lanes inbound slow down between the Edens and Ohio Street. The Ike is 50 minutes inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 34 outbound with a crash on the exit ramp from Manheim Road. Then the left lane is blocked at Mill Road with another accident. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Spring into deals at Lowe's. Shop Green Premium 2 cubic feet mulch 5 bags for $10, plus get up to 35% off select major appliances. Valid through 5/6. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. While supplies last, selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be breezy and very warm with a mix of clouds and sunshine, reaching a high of 81. Tonight, expect cloudy skies and warmth with a few showers and a thunderstorm possible towards dawn with a low of 64. Tomorrow will be cloudy, breezy, and not as warm with a chance of a couple of showers and a thunderstorm and a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Our next guest, writing at RealClearDefense.com, writes about America's grand strategy geopolitically. What a country wants to do in the world. specifically what America wants to do in the world, obviously. He writes, American grand strategy feels unsettled, not because policymakers lack ideas, but because the country has entered a new grand strategic era, even if its institutions and rhetoric have not fully caught up. The assumptions that once anchored, U.S. foreign policy no longer hold, yet no fully formed alternative has taken their place. The turbulence now visible at home and among allies is not a failure of policy execution. It is the predictable consequence of operating between two grand strategic eras where old commitments persist, but the logic sustaining them has eroded. Think NATO, I'm assuming. It is the consequence of adjusting to a changing grand strategy, and it will affect the way the United States approaches foreign policy. Well, let's chat about that in some additional detail, and I'm also going to impose upon Jason Smith some reflections on the situation in Iran. Jason Smith is professor of national security strategy at the National War College and Fleet Seminar Program instructor with the Naval War College, which I attended, not as a uniformed person, but as a dilettante, when they do the civilian 1 week seminar. I did, and nice to visit Newport Beach, Rhode Island, too. He's also a former National Security Council official and senior U.S. Senate advisor, retired U.S. Coast Guard and Army officer. Jason Smith, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, give us some more detail when you're thinking about these paradigms were between the old grand strategy, what America wanted to do in the world, versus this debate or tumult over what a new grand strategy will look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So when I started thinking about this, which I've thought about it for years, as you mentioned, I teach at the National War College, where that's our whole job, right, is to think strategy, talk to these great students we have. They come in, they're senior, they're already smart, they're proven, they know what they're doing, and we're trying to take them to the next level. So we have these conversations about what is strategy and what drives strategy, especially, when thinking domestic politics that drive all of our foreign policy decisions. So I approached this idea with, hey, is this an elite-driven thing? Do we have our elected officials and those with the loudest voices and influence driving where America goes, or is it more what I'm not an economist, but economists would call some kind of principal-agent relationship where the people, American citizens, are the principal, and those elected officials are the agents that just act on it. And what I've found from my research is that, and I think it's a good news story for democracy, that officials do act on what the people desire, what they want, but sometimes that's just delayed. And that's what causes that levels of uncertainty and turmoil. And so what I say in the paper and what I've found is that, this doesn't happen overnight. It wasn't like, hey, one day everybody was, hey, let's do all this international stuff, and the next day it was like, hey, we need to be domestic focused. It takes a while, and you start seeing pieces and parts of it. And you can take this back to starting first seeing parts of pushback on so much international in the 80s with economics and concern about, hey, we need to buy American. There was a big movement in buy American. And then if you look at the 90s, you could start tracing it into ideas of, hey, we don't need to be the world police. Why are we everywhere doing all these things?
Nation building.
Nation building, which you saw in the 2000s. So this was, like a slow push and churn that I think really kind of had this big turning point in 2008 with the Great Recession, and everybody was like, hey, this is caused globalization's not serving me as a person on the street. We've been told it was going to do all these great things, but I don't feel it. So that was kind of the turning point, and now we're seeing the slow change or realization by the institutions, and when I say institutions, I mean mainly our government institutions and elected officials, that this is not what the American people want, so we need to focus on what they want. And like I said, it's a good news story for democracy for me, even if it's a little delayed, and we'd like to think things happen a little faster.
Well, so
I'll shut up there and let you see where you want to go.
Well, I mean, it's basically what you're suggesting is sort of a run away from internationalism and a run up to America Firstism. And Trump tapped into something a decade ago, and it's very real. I mean, it's so real that he's facing criticism for the campaign in Iran from even some erstwhile Trump and MAGA supporters. That's how sort of much the orientation has changed that he tapped into. And it manifests itself, like you said, with respect to trade policy, as well as respect to how America projects its military power in the world. We're not doing we're doing what he called in the first term principled realism. We have our foundational principles. We want to project those values into the world. We're going to be realistic about what the limits are to doing so, a la not nation building, not engaged in that. But we're going to act, we're going to look at everything through the prism of, does this serve the economic and security interests of the American people? And there's going to be, of course, debate about that. But that's the prism through which all of these policy choices are being viewed, at least by this president.
Yeah, I think you're making some great points. And I would say that you did mention debate, and that's the beautiful thing of it, is we need to have these debates. That's healthy for our country to have these debates and have people's voices heard and not just pushed to the side. And then that causes some of the backlash, as you kind of mentioned. I call this newest era, I call it in the paper, kind of an idea of reconstituting selective engagement. I think that what America and Americans have realized is that we can't be everywhere. We can't be everything to everybody. And it's costing us somewhat at home. So the idea there's a focus inward. And like you said, I think President Trump tapped into that and has been very successful with it. But as you pointed out on the other side, when elected officials start drifting from that, they start getting called out on it. As you can see, as you mentioned, that there's a section of President Trump supporters that are not happy with what's going on with Iran for those exact reasons.
It also happens internally in these institutions that you're referencing too. I mean, for example, the military, there was a specific emphasis on culture change in the armed services from Biden and his team to this team, sort of refocusing on what one school of thought, my school of thought, what the military is supposed to be. And it's not all of this social engineering and identity politics and General Milley's reading list and all of that business. It is, being attractive to young men and women in terms of meeting recruiting goals so we can have vibrancy, focused on merit and mission, and being the most effective fighting force in the world and properly resourced to be that. And that I mean, it sounds straightforward and it sounds rather axiomatic, but that represents a culture change, arguably, from what we saw during the Biden years.
Yeah, I mean, the only comment I have is, as a retired military man working around them all the time, the military is going to salute, right, and draw fire. They're going to take their orders from the top, and and they should, right, whatever their political masters tell them what to do and what not to do, they're going to drive on. And that's healthy for our civil relationship. We want that. We don't want our military going out on its own rogue, serving their own. But there's definitely, if you talk about refocus, there's definitely been a refocus on the Western hymn. I mean, absolutely. And this administration came in and Western hymn was a priority, and you can see that everywhere throughout the Department of War, how that's now been elevated. It was in the National Security Strategy, National Defense Strategy, and in the National Military Strategy. Like, how do we protect more of the homeland and our adjacent?
Let me ask you something specific about Iran. I mean, the report out this morning that Navy says it could take up to 6 months to fully sweep and clear the Strait of Hormuz of mines. And Trump apparently this morning issued a shoot-to-kill order on those Iranian speedboats that are engaged in piracy and or mine laying, or some combination of the two. Just thinking about that, the need to clear the strait is not the same thing as, and the time that may take to, comprehensively do so is not the same thing as necessarily as saying we need to have sort of the presence we have now there for at least the next 6 months in order to accomplish this, because it seems to me that dynamic could change as the state of relations and the stability of the regime changes. And as we were just talking about with Casey McFarland before you joined us, you could end up potentially, hopefully, having a coalition that includes the Gulf states of helping to manage and ensure the free flow of traffic through the strait. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I would say on that is I feel really sorry for those Iranian boat drivers and crews that are out there, because the Navy's going to take care of them, right? I mean, it's going to be a done deal. We got the best Navy. We got the best military. They are going to, whatever orders come down for them to do, they're going to execute. We never fell. If you look at every one of our recent past wars, we don't fail on the military objective side of it. They're going to, you give them objective, they're going to go operate and take care of business. It's usually, as you're referring to, what's our big picture? What's our long-term strategy? I try my best not to judge a strategy in the middle of what's ongoing. I guarantee there's smarter people than me surrounding the president right now, advising him on which way to go with these things. As a strategist, my question, if I was advising, is like, hey, sir, what is the desired end state? And I'll get you there. But I just need to know what we're looking at the end. And if it's just straight Hormuz, we got that. If it's, whatever that next step is, give us the order and we can take care of business.
When you're thinking about this grand strategy paradigm shift, how would you analyze the decision that Trump has made to initiate the campaign against the Iranians for the purpose of, frankly, I think you could argue it both ways, but one of the ways is, look, this represents a paradigm shift consistent with the grand strategy paradigm shift that is America first oriented, because we've had politicians jawboning the mullahs in Tehran for 47 years and not doing anything about it and allowing their terrorist activities to sort of ebb and flow. And this is somebody who decided to attach action to the stated policy position of what is in America's interest, which is preventing Iran from having nuclear weapons first and foremost. And so, I mean, I can see the argument of sort of the neo-isolationists or the non-interventionists, but I also don't see this as necessarily inconsistent from not just what Trump has said for decades as an individual, but also from this strategy of being more America first oriented.
Yeah, I mean that's the real question. You're asking the $1 million question. I guess my comment would only be that there's no doubt that Iranians are bad guys, right? They've been killing Americans for 47 years, and they would continue to try to kill Americans tomorrow if we'd let them. So the question is, at what point is a trade-off? And it all goes back to, like I said, what is the strategy that gets us there? I don't want to judge us in the middle of the strategy. My always feeling is like when we're in the middle of one of these things, I'm going to hope everything works perfect. The American military goes over there, does their business, comes back safe and sound, and then we can talk about it when it's over and the turnout with the decisions right.
I don't think you need to do much persuading of my audience to when you're talking about the talent level that we have in our armed services. But I remark, just since the Naval War College came up as where you instruct in part, I mean, I just did a week seminar at the Naval College, and I did a week seminar at the Army War College in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, too. And being able to interact with, basically career military colonels, lieutenant colonels, and have some of the discussions that we're having right now with them, obviously different discussions, but same sort of discussions back when I attended these civilian seminars. I mean, it was just so impressive. It really was a newfound respect for how intelligent and worldly and cosmopolitan and thoughtful our men and women in the armed services are. And obviously you get to interact with them regularly. And so I just wanted to offer a comment on that too. It's not just about, guys that are good at, as Rush Limbaugh used to say, killing people and breaking things. It is so much more cerebral, and they're so much more well-rounded as a group than I think people might otherwise understand.
Oh, yeah. First off, thanks for you taking the time going to learn all that stuff, go sit with those folks and talk with them, because I wish more Americans had that opportunity, and they would come to the same realization you do. The biggest challenge I have teaching at the National War College and the Navy is when you go into a classroom with these folks, they're all going to be smarter than us. I know that walking in the door. So it's I do as much learning from them as they do from me. At least I hope they learn from me some. But I couldn't agree with you more.
Jason Smith, professor of national security strategy at the National War College and Fleet Seminar Program instructor with the Naval War College, former NSC official and senior U.S. Senate advisor and retired U.S. Coast Guard and Army officer. Jason Smith, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan. I really appreciate it.
And Jason joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey there, Chicagoland. I'm Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. If selling your house has even crossed your mind lately, here's what you need to know. You have options, and it doesn't have to be complicated. For nearly 20 years, our local, veteran-led team has helped Chicagoland homeowners sell their houses the simple way. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, no showings, and no open houses. Here's how simple it is. First, give us a call and share some basic details about your house. We'll set up an appointment that fits your schedule. One of our home buying specialists will visit your property and provide a straightforward, no-obligation cash offer. If it works for you, pick your closing date. Fast or flexible, your choice. Hundreds of your neighbors have given us 5-star Google reviews, and we're proud to hold an A+ rating with the BBB. If you're downsizing, relocating, or just ready for something different, we are here for you. Call 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. So allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They'll take care of your pain and have you getting on with your day just that quickly. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, you're a great candidate for pain relief from QC Kinetics. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you otherwise love to do? Are you taking painkillers? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then today could be your day to turn that corner and get real pain relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy. They're done right in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results, which is why I can recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those who love you. Call now, 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Once more, for pain relief, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Penny Mustard presents single-seat mini sofas.
Those are not single-seat sofas.
They're plush. They have fabric, and you sit on them. So what are they?
Penny Mustard's new line of upholstered dining chairs.
Aren't they gorgeous?
These unique chairs take your dining experience to a whole new level.
The finest dining chairs masquerading as single-seat mini sofas you'll ever see.
The new upholstered dining chair collection, starting at $916 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long, not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 773. Today's program was one of the best. Learned a lot. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Of course, it helps to have great guests, as we did this morning with our military and national security people. Professor Jacobson talking about the SPLC. Ken Cuccinelli talking about remapping in Virginia and elsewhere. Good conversations, good calls. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back with more, including updating the Bears stadium package here in Illinois. That's tomorrow. More wit and wisdom on Friday. Now it is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A shoot-to-kill order from the commander-in-chief. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It comes in a Trump Truth Social post. The president wrote a short time ago, the U.S. will take out any boat that lays mines in the waters of the